Hey everyone, this is the Escape Pod. My name is Sal.
My name's Josiah.
Mine's Nathan.
And we're making a stand again.
You know, it kind of defeats the purpose if you do multiple stands.
Well, you know, we stand a lot in life.
If you're always standing, then it makes no matter. So we stood the last time, and then sometime between then and now we fell.
Standing's a point of view, Nathan.
We fell.
We fell. Well, yeah, we're talking about book 2 of The Stand, which could be a whole nother novel in and of itself.
Jesus fucking Christ, this thing's so fucking long.
So
fucking damn it.
Okay, all right.
I was looking through the notes also. So book 1.
Yeah, I want you to lay this out.
It's about 300 pages, a little more, and that's 43 chapters.
Yeah.
And how many chapters do you think book 2 is? So
10.
18. So,
Yeah.
but it's also like 600 pages at
Yes,
least.
it's 600 pages.
God. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, so book 1 ends at page 382.
Yeah,
Right.
382.
Well, book 2 ends at page 911.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
it really does.
It's double the fucking length, and you feel it.
It ends at 911, so he was foreshadowing Dr. Sleep.
I was hoping you'd avoid that. It's why I said 911, because I'm maybe if I don't say 911, maybe you won't go there. But no.
Listen, this is a Stephen King podcast. All his works are connected. So,
Well, they shouldn't be.
but okay. So we left off book 1 with our characters finally meeting, right? So
it's been so long. I forgot how book 1 even ended.
Yeah. So the ending of book 1 is Stu coming across Harold and Fran and setting up the whole.
Oh wow.
And so it's like, oh, remember when like our characters just met and it was like, oh, this is really cool for them to meet up.
It's been 83 years.
And that we set up the whole love triangle that's going to dominate most of book 2.
Most of.
No, it does. That's like the main thrust of book 2.
It is the main thrust. You're right. There are many thrusts, but that is the main thrust. Harold thrusts through Stu thrusts. Larry thrusts. Nick doesn't.
No, fuck Nick. What
Nick, who's he? What, you want scenes with Nick Andros, you fucking clown shoe?
Listen, we're gonna get.
Hey, listen. The important thing is.
What do you want from me? I'm already mad.
The important thing is. I need you to remember this, Salvatore.
I don't like that you use my real pronunciation. Go on.
Just in case you forgot, Leo is Chinese. So,
Oh, you know what? I'm glad they brought it up every other page. Yep.
yeah. Oh, you know.
With those weird Chinese eyes. Thanks, Steven.
See, the thing was that I thought this was a Dr. Sleep bury the chink scenario where he wasn't really Chinese, but he had upturned eyes not to bring Dr. Sleep into this, but he repeated the character with Snakebite Andy that was in book 1 of The Stand.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so then he did the whole upturned eyes thing in both books.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I honestly don't know if this kid is Chinese. There's no other identifying features other than he has upturned eyes and he's a weirdo. And it's like,
But he calls him Chinese all the time.
Does he?
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought he just described him as Chinese kid.
It's
Chinese looking kid.
It's weird because I don't think it's anyone in Larry's immediate group. It's once other people see him where it's like,
right.
Why does he have this little Chinese kid following him around?
No, Larry refers to him as like being Chinese even before that. Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I remember that because
I do not feel like making a stand to debate that, so it doesn't matter either way. He's a Chinese kid.
But what will you stand for?
Well, we'll get to that.
So the first chapter of book 2.
It's gonna be a long podcast.
We got the union, the meeting of Nick Andros, Tom Cullen.
Yeah.
Tom Cullen.
Yeah, Tom Collins was a character where I was reading, and like the first 2 paragraphs, I'm like, oh no, not this character. And then I was immediately like, no, I like this character.
See, because I had a connection from the miniseries, so I was
right.
Whenever Tom showed up, I was instantly like, fuck yeah, I love you, Tom.
Yeah.
You're so great.
See, I was.
Oh, Lords no.
Lords no.
See, because of Trash Can Man, I was like, how many like weirdly mentally like, I mean, you know, how many of these people are we gonna get?
I mean, it makes sense that like mentally damaged people would be either survivors or become mentally ill.
Have the shine.
Well, no, we're gonna get to that.
They all have the shine.
So I don't feel bad bringing up Dr.
That's
Sleep
canon.
because
I had lunch with Stephen King yesterday, and he told me that it was canon. So
Well, that's good.
yeah.
How'd you swing that? I was gonna make a really bad joke, and then I decided to hold off.
You told him how much you loved Julie Lowry.
Yeah. So this
What was
was
that again?
So here's the thing. So we get introduced to Tom Cullen, and then so I was reading this chapter, and I was
is that the girl that Nick fucks, and then she just fucks
and
off?
she's immediately a psycho. Yeah.
so spoiler alert, she does show up in book 3.
I know. Yeah.
Like 100 pages before the end,
Yeah,
and it's
I
like,
know, yeah.
what the fuck? This took 700 pages for her to come back. Like I remember when,
Not as bad as Robert Jordan though, so it's fine.
yeah,
Remember
but
that one character that was in a barn in book 1? Well, they'll be back 7 books later. Remember her, Nathan? Remember her? She comes back 7 books later. Do you remember? And then Matt sees her in the town. He's like, "Oh God, it's the girl that tried to kill me 7 books ago." Remember that?
oh, so Stephen King and Robert Jordan. No, so Robert Jordan literally ripped Stephen King off.
Good.
Okay.
I mean, Robert Jordan was ripping off everybody else, so why not
yeah.
also Stephen King?
I mean, yeah.
Did you write a book? I bet you Robert Jordan ripped off on you.
Wheel of Time video coming soon.
But we get Julie Lowry, and this is where I was like, man, like the pacing of this book is so much faster. Like we got introduced to Tom Cole, and immediately we meet another character who they get away from. Like, what the fuck is going on? Because Nick like meets Julie, and then you're immediately like, it's probably not a good idea to stick your dick in this, but I understand why you do.
Sure.
And then Nick fucks her in like the store while Tom's off like playing across the street, and then like not 5 minutes later, she's like making fun of Tom, and
fucking up Nick's attempt to communicate with him.
yes, to because he is what was it? What was his issue where he had a thing where she was like basically preventing him from getting healthy.
Yeah, he was trying.
So Tom had to drink Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to. So Nick was trying to convince him it would help his stomach ache. And then Julie was like, "It's poison, don't do it."
Because she's the type of person to just like cause problems because it entertains her.
Yeah.
And so you're immediately like, I don't like you. And so what's great is that I'm reading this and I'm like, oh God, don't tell me they're going to be saddled with Julie for like 300 pages. And immediately Nick's like, no, I'm just going to point a gun at you, like get the fuck out of here before I kill you.
Yeah, I think when I think first he slaps her because it's like, fuck off, and then he gives her a note saying, "We don't need you."
Yeah.
And then points a gun at her.
She starts freaking out and then
Trashes their bikes and tries to fucking shoot them.
yeah, and then she shoots at them when they drive away, and I'm like, what the fuck?
And then we never see her again. So then what happens after that?
But we meet Ralph.
Yeah, we do meet
Oh, Ralph's a good boy.
Ralph's a good boy.
Yeah, I like
But we'll
Ralph.
get back to him.
Ralph, the like other kind of main character who like sneaks up on you a little bit.
He is one of those like, well, we had to marginalize one of the other main characters to make room for a new one.
He's the Aegon Targaryen of the stand, honestly.
Yeah, he kind of is, isn't he?
Oh,
It's
the
like,
egg.
oh, he just kind of pops up. No, he's like the main guy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
your salvation.
No,
It's like, oh,
he's no longer than Nick is.
And according to this summation, the next chapter is 23K words.
Yeah, and you feel it.
Is this Mother Abigail?
No,
that's
no.
the next one.
This is the whole Larry running into Joe, Leo, and Nadine.
This was great.
And it's like that huge thing where they're following Harold's footsteps as he's been laying all this stuff out.
Yeah, and then you have I know I jumped a little bit, but I love Larry's like inner constable monologue. It's so fucking funny.
Oh, it's
the
great.
the constable's great. And
it's only good until later on where he like starts to refer to him in public with other people who wouldn't know about that. So where I'm like, that's cringy.
I totally
Steven.
forgot that was out loud. Okay.
Yeah.
He does it to
No,
Franny.
he says it that one time. Yeah. And she's like, what? And he's like,
And he's like, calm down there, little missy. The constable's working. And I'm like, Steven, cut that.
Yeah.
but
We'll get to the dialogue. I have problems with it, but go on.
basically what I found amusing about this was that so initially, and the amusing thing about book 2 at the stand is initially I'm like, oh man, Harold Laudler, like I hate this character, and then over the course of the book I'm like, no, he's actually one of the most interesting, like relatable characters.
So great.
Like Harold, like my liking of Harold just increases. And it's funny because but we'll get to the whole Leo and Nadine thing, but Larry basically develops this like almost, he's almost like constructing this version of Harold who's like the most like resourceful human being ever. And he's like, man, like Harold like saved our lives, like if it wasn't for him. And it's so great as the book goes along, and he's just like, I just can't wait for them to meet and him to go, oh, you're Harold. That's okay. I didn't expect that. But how do we feel about the whole Leo Nadine bit where they come across him when he's sleeping and Leo's like wanting to kill him because he's like thinks everybody's trying to hurt him and
That's
Nadine?
fine because he's a traumatized child who probably watched his entire like community die.
Sure.
So I'm okay. I'm okay with that, and it's why I like Leo a lot.
He gets better. He
does get better. At first, I'm a bit like, what's with this fucking kid? But no, the fact that like Nadine's like a teacher and she's like mothering him and trying to help him and like sees that he's like a troubled child, wants to help him out because that's what she's good at, and then she kind of like wants to be around Larry because like it's another person and they need direction, and also like I think it is a little weird because like why don't you just like go say hi?
And it's really interesting on Larry's behalf because he kind of is like, I'm pretty sure someone's following me, but they're probably freaked out, so I won't investigate it too hard.
He picks the most like correct option.
Yeah, and he's like super up until that point, and a little bit after he meets him. You remember how he's like freaked out on the motorcycle?
Yeah.
And he's like, if I get injured, I'm fucked. There's nothing, and he's just like horrified of his surroundings, and it's like, I think that was a really good example.
And how he just walks.
Yeah,
that bit felt very similar to like a lot of the book 1 stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, because book 2 is pretty tonally and
it's so different. It's so interesting because like I feel like the big takeaway that I feel like is like book 1 feels like really fucking solid.
Yeah.
And like, all right, we're gonna introduce all these characters and really show you slowly like the world kind of falling apart and show a lot of like of the world. And there's all these like nice things where we'd cut to like kind of like narrator voice for a bit, and follow different things. And then book 2 kind of feels like.
Do we ever get that omniscient narrator in book 2?
Almost never. No,
I think it's very rare,
even at all. If not for like a minute or two. But like the thing about book 2 is that like for all of book 1's like slow, intricate plotting and pacing, book 2 is this erratic fucking nonsense ride of like. All of a sudden, like, oh, we just skip this bit, I guess, and you can't see this, and oh, the entire development of the Boulder town is basically just cut over.
Like, by the time, because again, it's the end of that first chapter, the very fucking end, we get like one line from Ralph, and then once, spoilers, they meet Mother Abigail, it's just like, oh, we're a group, we have dynamic.
This was so bizarre because I went back because I'm like, no, I'm sure Ralph was someone in book 1 I don't remember, because otherwise why would he skip over this? Because every time he introduces a character, he spends so much time setting up who they are, even if it's Trash Can Man, who only had like 2 chapters in book 1. And I'm like, no, they have to be someone who I didn't know from earlier. And I'm like, oh no, this is just the first time they show up. And I was so baffled at like why you would change that up to almost no purpose other than no, I can't see what purpose he would do that.
And I know we're kind of talking about general things at the moment, but I feel like a big issue I feel like going forward is this that I'm gonna hit it home a lot is that book 2 equal parts should have been longer and shorter. Because since book 1's all about like we're going to show you in detail how the plague is spreading to person to person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's super interesting. Why can't I have that, like, for, like, the development of the societies? But, like, because the town of Boulder, is there a wall around it? How is everybody set up? Like, what's the layout like? Like, how is the community built? Who does what? And then they kind of go into that a little bit with committees and stuff later, but, like, that's already after the town's been, like, established. They kind of, all of a sudden, we're going to Boulder. Hey, Boulder's now a big, thriving town now. And I'm like, for all, like, of your like, minutia shit in the first book, which I find great, of, like, you talk to this person spreads to this person.
Sure.
Like, all that cool little intricate detail just doesn't happen in book 2.
I mean, I'll agree with you, but I'll also say that, like, there was stuff they cut over. I'm like, thank God I didn't have to watch, like, how exactly they set up every individual power grid across the whole city.
Well, yes, but, like...
You know.
I would say my thought on Boulder is I think it is effective for our characters because that's pretty much how it is for them. Like, they just show up and it's like, oh, fuck, okay, there's a lot of people moved in. We need a committee, so we're going to get the word out. Where the fuck does everyone live? There's one street where like one person lives. There's a street where several families are in one house. Like, it's such a mess.
I don't think it's too easy because they go and do King makes sure that there's a lot of time spent to like, okay, we have to clear out because they basically say like many times like, oh, well, Boulder doesn't have that many people left over. They all must have moved out. And it's like, no, but that's still like thousands of bodies we have to take out of the house.
Because there's stuff like that where like it like shows up, but I feel like when they first like they get there and we don't see it.
Yeah, the beginning of book 2 for sure.
Yeah, like the initial like getting the Boulder, I'm like, well, how did the very beginning happen?
Well, and again, I think this kind of ties into like what's the next chapter's about, which is Mother Abigail's chapter. Which is...
You could have cut, like, half of this.
In fact, you could have cut almost all of it because so Mother Abigail, you basically get introduced to her POV, and you get like hints of her in book 1, and it's really good. It's very clear she's like psychically reaching out to people with the shine. Then we get like 40 pages of Mother Abigail's backstory, most of which is not germane. Like, a lot of it's like, and here's an additional detail why she's like the way she is, and I'm like, I could have picked that up from those 3 other details.
She's like, I'm old as shit. I got a letter from Ronald Reagan.
I remember the last time I fucked a man, and it's like, I don't, okay.
Yeah, I love that I'm old as shit, a letter from Ronald Reagan, because then 20 pages later, oh, hey, how old are you? Well, I got this letter from Ronald Reagan.
Everything that she sets up is either reiterated to Larry in a better, more concise way, or can be inferred.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Like, the only good things in the Mother Abigail chapters, it's very clear that Randall Flagg is sending ferrets to kill her.
yeah, so I was gonna say, having just read The Shining, Stephen King, I would say on a scale of scary things, weasels are like a little bit above hornets. Like, if you have a swarm of them, I guess. But
See, it was effective. Like, the thing, again, and this is what I say every podcast, I'm going to be saying until we finish the Stephen King retrospective. He always has, like, really off-the-wall ideas that, like, his prose makes you go, I accept that these weasels are scary. But then you're like, why wasn't it just wolves? They set up so much imagery with wolves being Randall Flagg.
Yes!
And then the rest of the book is just setting up wolves with, like, a few mentions of weasels. Like, I think one chapter, like, Randall Flagg's red eyes, they were like a weasels. And I'm like, oh, that's how you tied that together. And it's like...
Because then Kojak's attacked by wolves at Mother Abigail's house.
Yes.
And that was so much more intense because it was like, oh, the wolves could actually kill this dog.
Because you have the one setup of Mother Abigail was like, oh, when I was a kid, a weasel bit my hand and it was horrific, and it's like, that would be scary for you, and it's like, now there's hundreds and they want my chickens.
I mean, I get it because Randall Flagg's supposed to like he's supposed to like bring like the thing you fear most or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like the way he appears to you in dreams is that way.
I enjoy Penny.
But it's not like she has a dream where the weasels... Well, she does, but it's not as if it's just a dream. No, physically, he sends weasels to do it, and then later, to kill a character, he sends wolves, and it's like, well, if you just sent wolves that time, you would have removed the only threat to you. Dumbass.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, you're like, oh, okay, that is kind of dumb.
Also, I want to touch on this super quick.
Yes.
Every once in a while, Stephen King does this dumb thing where, like, he'll go, oh, and then that's the last time, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
sometimes it's effective.
Sometimes
a lot of times it is not.
the one bit I fucking hated
is with the dog outlived this
Glenn.
character. Yes,
Yeah.
I was like, why the fuck would you say that? It doesn't enhance the pathos of this at all.
And it's like, and that was the last time Kojak saw Glenn.
It's like, why would
Or
you...
no, it's like, and then Kojak will live longer than Glenn or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I need to know that?
It doesn't enhance that bit at all. Like, I remember I read that and I messaged Nathan, like, are you serious? Like, why would you spoil that for me?
Because it's a spoiler. Yeah.
Because it doesn't... I feel like he did it in book 1, so he's like, well, I have to put a few of those in book 2.
Well, it's because it's like he's trying to go, Glenn's gonna die, how's it gonna happen? And it's like, well, by the end of book 2, he's like, they're going straight fucking towards Randall Flagg.
Yeah.
I assume, like, the peril is mounting.
Yeah.
So...
And Mother Abigail says, and one of you will die. And I'm like, wow, I wonder who the fuck it's gonna be. Is it Glenn? The old man who's going on this journey?
No, the twist is gonna be that Kojak just lives long as shit, and Glenn's got like another good 5 years. And it'll be like Stu that
Do you
died.
know what I hate? And I'm bringing the miniseries for a moment. Pardon me. But I always love the image in the miniseries where the team goes out to Las Vegas because Larry brings his guitar. And it's this badass shot of like them walking with the guitar and Larry's back, and I was like, "Oh man, they're gonna do it!" And I read the book, and I was like, "That's not in the fucking book."
No.
So hey, showrunners, I know that Larry's gonna be black now, but you can give him a guitar still. It's fine.
If you guys don't use The Chain by Fleetwood Mac for when they do the stand, you
I
should
swear to
just
fucking Christ, I swear, dude.
Because like that's the perfect song for like that bit.
See, when they marched off, I know this. I don't know how well you guys know this, but I picture like epic moments in One Piece where characters are marching off and it just has the main theme playing. Oh, they're gonna kick some ass.
Yeah. But
cycling back, sorry, I just
Mother Abigail. Yeah,
I just want to avoid this chapter, so I keep interjecting other things.
Basically, they all kind of have a nice, peaceful interlude, and it's like it's supposed to be Stephen King's like kind of letting you rest after like how intense the book 1 was, and how Larry almost gets killed by a child, and Julie shoots at them. So it's supposed to be like the first time where you're kind of able to rest, because they have like a nice big old turkey dinner or whatever, and it's like, and yeah, again, like what sucked was the summation Mother Abigail gave Larry was so like heartfelt and impactful to me, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just read all this. But then it was so good, I was like, no, but I just need to cut the rest of it.
Because there was like some moment, it's been a while, so maybe I'm misremembering this, but doesn't she like talk about sex smells and like corn?
She does.
Like that.
In her extended monologue. It's 40 pages.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot going on. But after that...
Oh, by the way, Lucy Swan joined Larry's group at the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
Also, like, how do you just... She just shows up?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, do you want to talk about Nadine at all?
I think that we should wait on that.
Okay.
Because Nadine's a whole, like, section.
I will say my first impression of her was... That's a little weird.
So my first impression was I liked her, but she was definitely that kind of like character who's like, if the kid kills him, then I'll leave him, but I can't leave him before because I'm responsible for him. I'm like, he's clearly a deranged killing machine.
Well,
like,
but is that before or after she talks about like her dream of running through the grass and wanting to give up her maidenhead?
It's around the same time. It's around the same time.
Yeah, offering up her
where she talks about. Well, no, because at first she's like, the way that kind of plot point gets introduced is her saying like, oh yeah, like I don't remember if it's in connection to Larry or if it's like something else, but she's like, yeah, she remembered the grass and like the boy chasing after the grass. And at first you're like, oh, like I wonder like what this is referring to, and like maybe it's just because she's a virgin, and so we're supposed to feel like, oh, I hope that like she loses her virginity with Larry, even though he's not a nice guy.
Well, it's like, okay, so I get that, like, first off, hi mom and dad. I get that virgins are weird about their sexuality, but like the fucking like when she's talking about, oh, I ran through the grass in the night, and if the boy had found me, I would have let him take my maidenhead, but he didn't.
So
it's like, so what the fuck? What?
And it's supposed to be this weird thing where it's like that's the only time that someone was ever going to take my virginity. I'm like, so you just never had another situation where it was possible for you to have sex with someone?
Sus.
Okay.
Big sus.
I mean, we're just at the tip of the iceberg. This is just the initial like weirdness of it. But like, I was going with it like because I knew because remember, it doesn't matter. But like in book one, I was like, I didn't remember who Randall Flagg fucked, but I know he fucked somebody, and I'm like, oh shit. Is that why he wants, like, the baby from Fran? He's gonna, like, try to, like, do a berserk and convert her baby or something? And then I started to realize, oh, no, it's Nadine. And then I was like, okay, I'm interested where this is going, but...
Yeah. But also, like, what's the point?
Well, we're gonna get to that.
I'm sure...
It's very important.
You know, it's like when you... it's like when you see the tip of the iceberg, but deep down below, it's, like, built on shit.
Oh god.
So it's real bad.
But yeah, we'll get to Nadine later. After this we get this is just it cuts, and then Stu's like, I have all these people with me now, and it's like why? It's
and again, like I wish that like and that's what I want more of, like the because like we go so slow, and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, here's just like 7 new characters, I guess, and I'm like, I can't get attached to any of you.
Especially when it's like, oh, there's this couple that are with us, and the guy, he's hurting real bad, he's sick.
And I don't care about you.
And it's like, you're gonna die.
Like, if it was Larry, I'd be like, oh god, no, not Larry.
Yeah, sure.
But I don't care about, I don't even remember his fucking name.
His name's Mark.
Oh, fucking Mark. I don't care about Mark.
He's got appendicitis. That's a shitty way to go.
That's sad.
Yeah, it's bad.
Stu tries.
Yeah.
Stu tries very, very hard.
But we get this interesting thing where the characters, like, again, the characters all kind of realize, okay, we're all having dreams of Randall Flagg, the dark man, the walking dude. It's, like, terrifying. So we should
You forgot one of his monikers.
What?
Randall Flagg.
Walter O'Dean?
No, what's another one?
He has a million, I don't know.
The Black Man.
Oh yeah, the Black Man, whatever.
I don't know.
But like, anyway, so they're like, hey, listen, we're all having dreams of this guy, so let's just let's experiment. And this is Harold's idea. We're gonna take like small amounts of sleeping pills.
God, I love Harold.
Because we're gonna see like what the dosage is to like make sure we don't have the dreams and sleep comfortably, but not like basically OD in our sleep.
Yeah.
And so then Fran's like, well, I still haven't told anyone because nobody knows she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And then she's just like, well, I'm just not gonna take it. So it's actually kind of cool because she like has to embrace the suffering of. So basically, while the other characters get to be away from the dreams, from this point on, a lot of the dreams are just through Fran's point of view.
This is also
or Nadine's.
It also begins the trend of we get to see Franny's point of view of situations after the fact through her writing, which lasts for way too fucking long.
I liked it.
I liked it.
At first, I liked it. Yes.
Well, I liked it, and then I was like, okay, this is cool, but it's kind of clunky when it jumps back and forth between regular writing about events.
Yeah.
This happened, and it's like, where does...
Yeah, there was a bit where I was like, is this an intentional, like, Wheel of Time Three Kings shit? Or like...
See, the moment the journal didn't work is when she starts summarizing the committee meetings. And I'll tell you why. It's because he summarizes the committee meetings in recording format, and then sometimes he does them in normal format. And I'm like, why do you need 3 ways to format? Like, I understand that this is Stephen King, and he's sitting here, he's like, I need these committee meetings. I need like 10 of them. But I can't just have it be... And then they had a meeting and go through the same beats. So I'm gonna.
This is Lord of the Rings, so I have to have the Council of Elrond at least 5 times.
Yes.
See if
because he could have summed this up in like half the meetings that we got.
See if Fran was being like super professional as secretary, and they were just very dry, like straight up, this is what happened, like a regular note taker, fine. But she's already making like snide little notes in it and like reporting her feelings on it, so we don't need the addition of her journal that is entirely her opinion.
Yeah, because like I did like the chapter where it was like kind of a recording.
Yeah. So
you didn't get kind of some of people's direct like emotional responses. It was more kind of you had to infer a bit of that. So I liked that, but again, I think I liked the journal up until when she summarized the committee meetings. That's when I was like, okay, I don't care about the journal anymore.
Do you know whose journal I care about? Harold's.
We're so close.
Harold's the best character. I don't give a fuck.
But real quick to circle back to the whole Mark with the appendicitis thing.
Okay.
That scene was one of the best scenes in the book when Stu tries to do the surgery and then he's already dead and like they have to go to Stu.
Yeah, he's gone. He's so intently like checking the notes and making sure he's doing it right.
I'm so close, and then it's like,
no,
he died.
I'm sorry, Stu.
Yeah, that was a fucking punch.
You're a good man.
Yeah, and that's also where we get the initial. Stu was like sitting there, like blood on his hands, holding a scalpel. And he kind of like hugs Fran, but not like I'm in love with you, like in a oh my god, I'm literally like have a man's blood on my hands, like he's dead because of me.
Like I'm in shock, yeah.
And then Harold sees that, and of course, because he is jealous, he interprets it in a different way, which I loved how King made that come to life in terms of like, no, I understand how he would get triggered by that, even though we know that it's not like that, even though we know they love each other.
But then it's time for some gunslinging. Time for
the one like
was a firefight.
The one in the book.
Yeah.
See, I assume that like when you tell people what the plot of this is, they assume this is most of the book. Like, oh, Randall Flagg's gonna send guys to shoot them, and it's like, no, it's just kind of some random guys with sex slaves.
It's just committee meetings.
Well, first they save some slave girls from some. What a. Okay.
This scene was cut from the original version, by the way.
Yeah,
but Dana's like gonna. Oh, they probably just skip over how they meet her.
They
skip over the backstory.
Of
everything that happened,
which is bad because later she faces Randall Flagg, and I'm like, okay, like of all the main characters, I would want to like have a conversation with Randall Flagg.
It's Dana.
Regardless of how good the bit is, it's all because of Flagg's charisma. It's not because Dana's like my favorite character.
I forgot that she met her during that.
Yes. Yeah, because at first I was wondering why they were doing this, and I'm like, oh, right, because they need expendable people to go to Las Vegas.
I was sitting there, and I was like, they mentioned Dana and the gum, and I'm like, who the fuck's Dana?
Uh-huh.
And then I was like, oh, yeah, Dana!
Yeah.
She was one of the slave girls.
Yeah. I do love, I think this gunfight is really cool, because they all suck except for Stu. Stu's like, okay.
Yeah.
Stu can reliably hit the target, maybe not the bullseye, but the target.
That's why he's the marshal.
Pretty much.
Yeah, this is a pretty violent scene, but done very well to like kind of show like how.
And it's like the one in the whole like book so far. So.
And apparently it happens in the span of like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's so like
fast.
You know, and
I think Stu kills one.
Yeah.
Hits another, and then like the slave girls are just like, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
And just beat the shit out of them.
And then there's a really brief bit where Fran's like, I feel like Dana is it Dana or is it? Yeah, it's Dana. I feel like she and Stu are attracted to each other, oh, why can't I just profess my love? And then Harold, he immediately notices this, and he's like, oh shit, so this is my chance because she's jealous. And then he tries to kiss her, and it's like very awkward, and she's like, listen, this is, and she like skins her leg, like laughing, falling off the log, and then it's like, that's exactly what he needed for his confidence. Perfect.
That's why he's the villain.
And then she just goes off and fucks Stu. And it's like, my god, you fuck. I know you can't, like, control your giggles, because Stephen King likes giving you weird characteristics, but my god, that was a bitch move.
Yeah, they fuck. Harold sees them, and then go ahead.
They fuck too much.
It's 600 pages, so to me it was like,
it's like every goddamn night. Like
later, towards the end of book 2.
Oh, it slows down towards the end.
No, it speeds up. Because at the beginning, at the beginning, it's like, oh, they fuck, and then like 100 pages will pass, oh, they fuck, and then it's like once they get to Boulder and they're like having regular committee meetings, it's like, let's go have sex, and he's like, yeah, I know how to have sex with you real good, and then it happens like every other chapter with them, so I'd say it gets worse as the book
even
goes
the
on.
morning of like Abigail's like, hey, you have to leave like right away, and then Fran's like, let's have a nice picnic and fuck first.
Yeah,
that's right. My god.
And I'm like, don't you have to go?
Yeah. Harold sees them, and then there's this great scene where I love the dread that King actually builds with this, where it's like he reads her diary, and of course we know what's in it and all the things she said about him, but he doesn't know. And then the chapter just ends with it's like, and he's gonna start writing his own diary, and it's like, oh god, like that's so terrifying that he like sneaks in and like slips it out, and he masturbates reading it, and like it's just so like creepy because it's like, yeah, there's like a super flu, yeah, there's like a floating like supernatural demon guy, but like one of your own party is just like really obsessed with you, and he's just like reading all your secrets, and now he knows everything about you.
Well, that's why for me, jumping ahead a little bit, it's so depressing when Larry finally meets Harold, because up until that point I was like, oh, you see, Harold's gonna like slip farther and farther, then seeing how much he actually inspired and helped someone will turn him around. It's like, no, he doesn't give a shit.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. And after this bit, Harold just starts doing his like fake smile. Yeah. And at first everyone's like, are you okay? And he's smiling, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm great. And they're like, okay, yeah, he's smiling, so he seems to be fine. Like, but then after that, they don't start doubting him anymore. They're like, no, he's just a really jolly guy now. He's like, oh, I'm like, oh god, he wants to bash your skull in.
My friend's like, wow, I love how Harold's just happy to be here.
He's accepting me and Stu now, and it's like, well, he's accepting it. Doesn't mean he's not going to do something about it.
Speaking of doing something, it's time to meet our good friend, the kid.
Yeah, the Trash Can Man chapter after being gone for like 400 pages.
Not long enough, but also far too long.
I want more Trash Can Man / Vegas chapters.
Well, let's just say it right now. After book 1, I was like, the amount of Randall Flagg and Lloyd and Vegas because there's no Vegas chapters, but the amount of Randall Flagg and Lloyd we get, it's like just enough. I can't wait to start to see more of how Vegas like rises and how Randall Flagg like brings people to his cause. We get none of that. It's just cuts, and it's all established, and Lloyd is his right-hand man, which we could have gathered from his chapter, but it's just kind of like, yeah, and it's just, And
there's all these characters, and then now one of them's dying, and then,
all these characters have crystals that turn into keys. Or, well, all of them have crystals that have the red spot that looks like an eye, but his is the key one. And it's just like, why? This book is ostensibly about the battle between good and evil, and about how characters will get swayed to one side or the other. And maybe some of the good characters in our group now might go to Randall Flagg. Like, there's a tension there. And we're barely there. Like, we're barely in Las Vegas. Like, I'm not asking for a Randall Flagg chapter all the time, because I get, like, you have to, like, keep him kind of hidden.
But you have Lloyd and Trash Can.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can just say, oh, Randall's off doing something, or, oh, he's up there in the tallest building of Vegas and no one gets to see him. You know, you could easily just have that. We get nothing. Like, it's so weird. Because we have characters like the one heckler in Boulder. We have Harold. We have Nadine. Who are being drawn, who are in the good camp, but being drawn to the dark camp. I want to see a character who's in the bad camp who's like, oh God.
Yeah.
Have I made a mistake?
Yeah, should I go to the good side? But that doesn't happen because then there would be no story.
See, honestly, again, based on what little I've read of Stephen King, I'm guessing, like, he just didn't know how to have so much coverage for Vegas. Because he doesn't know how to sustain that atmosphere with Randall Flagg.
But again, he doesn't have to, because there's later chapters where Randall Flagg isn't around, where people are just like, we're just friends and we're living in Vegas and like we're arming like militarily, but we're actually just like, you know, kind of okay, decent people, and it's like, well,
yeah, the bit where Trash is in Vegas and there's the nice chef who's like, and all the lieutenants have like a nice kind of like budding, like they're all friends with each other, and like, you know, it's like, I'm like, wow, like what a bunch of nice folks.
And like, I feel like that was Stephen King trying to be ambiguous, but and
even Lloyd, we know Lloyd's backstory. We know he's not actually like he's not like a super bad guy.
No, he's he was morally like corrupt, but he wasn't like as bad as Poke or the kid or. I mean, but Trash Can Man has, like, problems, but, like, you know, I mean, Lloyd never did anything as bad as him that we know of, but...
Lloyd never shoved a gun up Trash Can Man's ass and made him jerk him off.
You know, so talking about this chapter, I remember, like, reading, because I remember way back in the day when I was going to start this, like, years ago, I was like, I'm going to read The Stand, and then I got about 100 pages in, and then I stopped. This time I didn't. But this time I was like, you know, I remember reading that in the uncut version, there's this character called the Kid, and like, Trash Can Man is chaotic, but like the kid is like the furthest depths of evil or something, and he sexually assaults Trash Can Man while holding like with a pistol, and I took that to mean he like aims a gun at his crotch and then like jerks him off or something like that. I didn't realize he was gonna shove the barrel up his ass, and when I read that, I'm like, this is absolutely horrifying.
I read this on the bus with constantly looking over my shoulder, like, no.
I remember putting my bookmark when I was at work, and I'm like left the valet stand, and I'm like, you know, someone could just open that and see that I'm at a paragraph about sodomization with the pistol barrel. Okay, I accept the consequences of my actions.
So the kid drives him a good portion of the way, and they get stuck in it's like a mountain pass.
It's like a huge pileup.
Yeah,
it's like Trash Can even says like, hey, I'm willing to move cars, but this would literally take like years. To move this all out of the way, because like the kid's like this short, like kind of cowboy, kind of Elvis Presley, like
he's maybe Jim Morrison.
No, that connection could have been made. It wasn't.
He's kind of like the Mouth of the South, honestly.
What's
Jimmy Hart?
Oh, he is kind of like the Mouth of the South. But he kind of presents himself as this genial, like, just kind of fun-loving, like, Southern guy, and it turns out he's, like, the worst person on Earth. And he is completely independent of Randall Flagg because he's like, I'm going to kill him and take over Las Vegas. And it's like, and so I was reading this, and I'm like, what the fuck is going to happen when the kid... I mean, I assume, like, Randall Flagg just kills him in 1 second, but... Because that's ironic. But I was, like, so unsure of, like, how he was going to fit into the story, but he really is just kind of like a character to push Trash Can Man's arc along. And kind of create questions about, did Randall Flagg purposely put them together so that Trash Can would be more loyal to him? Because the book kind of raises that question.
Yeah, but I feel like also Trash Can would be loyal to him without the kid interference.
I know.
Without inventing the kid as a conflict.
Because doesn't he say My Life for You before the kid chapter?
Yes!
Yeah, he does. So, I mean, it's if he had, like, waited to say that till the... Because doesn't this open with him, like, wandering the desert? No, that's after he leaves the kid.
No, because it opens with him, like, closing in on CIBOLAAA.
Oh, yeah.
And then he cuts back to, I remember when I was with the kid, like, 2 days ago.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's also, like, one of the things that's weird, and, like, it's obviously not story-breaking, but it was weird to me how we start with him almost closing in on CIBOLAAA, and he's dehydrated, he's practically dead, he's all alone. But the last thing he did that we see leading up to that chronologically is him being led by an fleet of wolves away from the kid, and then it's like, I guess they all just fucked off once he found a main road or something, and then he just walked away.
Well, I don't know. They need to eat. Like, Randall Flagg, you know, he's a dick. He wants him to, like, he'll guard him half the way through the journey, but he wants him to, like, actually be on the brink of death, so he'll be absolutely loyal. So I quite like this chapter. You can argue, like, maybe it wasn't necessary for Trash Can Man's arc because he's already kind of on the fritz, but I do kind of like what Stephen King was getting at, where it's like, you know, Trash Can Man, he's a bad guy, but he's like he's a traumatized person.
Yeah.
Whereas there is evil that is more like it reminded me of like Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men, where it's like this guy's just like an embodiment of chaos and evil, and he just exists. And real quick, another cool thing is that it's not just that he's like crazy and like threatening to kill Trash Can Man. He also does like really like minorly abusive things, like make him drink until he like throws up.
Yeah.
Like that was some of the, like, I know he sodomizes him with a pistol, but honestly the bit where he's like, yeah, just drink one more, I'm like, this is like as disturbing as that for like,
you wasted the cores. I waste this one. Every drop note you throw it up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate you.
Yeah.
So much.
But sorry, go ahead.
But then we meet one of the best characters in this world, the Judge.
He's so great.
He's fucking awesome. I just picture the Undertaker, honestly.
Oh.
Old man Undertaker. Just
Can Mark Calloway please play the Judge?
That'd be so good. Him and Marilyn Manson, you know. That's the team we need. Yeah, we get the Judge, and Stephen King does a pretty good job explaining his character where I can get attached to him, because he feels like different than, oh, we're a couple and this guy has appendicitis. And for a second I was like weirded out because he has like the same initials as Randall Flagg, and I'm like, in every other Stephen King story, if you have RF as your initials, you're probably Randall Flagg. But in the book where he was originally in, there's a guy named RF, and at first I was like, is this like Randall Flagg in disguise? And no, it's not. It's just a different character. I think that's just supposed to be like irony. Like, it's like, oh, well, here's the equivalent on the good side.
It's also interesting. I feel like they didn't really set this up, but they're just kind of like, oh yeah, Lucy and Larry are fucking on
They
the
didn't set it up.
Yeah. She's like,
They didn't set it up. Yeah. Because when they cut to it, I'm like, oh, well, that's good for him. Glad, you know, and the whole time there's like this drama of, but I still want to fuck Nadine, but I'm resisting it. And she knows that I want to fuck Nadine, but I'm staying with her.
It's so sudden. It's so fucking sudden.
It's kind of a plot device, because it's basically like Stephen King is like, well, they're both attracted to each other, but I have to have a reason for Nadine not to have sex. Larry gets to somebody else because she turned him down once, and I'm like, that's really convenient because
and then they meet Lucy. They meet Lucy, right? She's
she was there.
She likes Larry,
and that gets so infuriating later when Nadine says,
but hey, listen, because Lucy says she's an easy girl.
I mean, she does for the characterization she gets. I like Lucy. I don't want Larry to cheat on her. So good job there, but it gets infuriating when Nadine exists because she's a terrible fucking character.
Yes.
But yeah, so she's like having dreams, and we get like this POV backstory of like, is this where the Ouija board happens?
No. That's
in there in Boulder.
But yeah, that's when they're in Boulder. But
and it's not a Ouija board. It's a something else, but it's basically a Ouija board.
I think it's a Ouija board.
No, it's not.
What is it?
It's different.
Oh, no, you're right. Because Ouija boards are, you have all the letters and the stylus guides you, whereas whatever they're using is just the stylus with like a pen attached that you write out. I don't know what it's called, but it's essentially...
It's not copywritten by Mattel.
It's called insert here in the edit.
Just have someone like really like World War II microphone like... over the top.
You could accomplish that effect by just screen recording Google saying it and then just fuck the audio, so it's like...
That's the plan.
This chapter is actually pretty short. Apparently, it's like 7K words.
Yeah.
Jesus.
but this is
in the books I write. I'm like, wow, 7K is a long fucking chapter. Stephen King, it's nothing.
Yeah, I can keep going. But this is where we start to get like the really shitty parts of like Nadine's character, where it's like, but you know something. Ever since I was a little girl, I knew it was my destiny to fuck this guy, the Dark Man, and it's like, don't. And she's like, but I have to. And it's like, no, you don't.
You know there's something off about it. You know it's probably for the worst, but you're just curious.
But everything everyone has told about you is negative, and you have dreams where he's like monstrous and not good. Why do you think this is a good idea?
But she has that bit. There's a bit in the book where they're like, hey, the Dark Man has been rubbing away at her mind, so she's...
That is not indicative.
But it says it in the book.
That's poorly done, because that was not indicated the first time we saw her. So
you're just reading books wrong.
They have it's either one of these few chapters with Nadine, or it's once they get to Mother Abigail. I think it's a little bit before then where they've started really comparing their dreams. Like all of the groups kind of start doing this around the same times of, okay, so we all have the same dream. And then Nadine gets really defensive
because she's rejecting it.
She doesn't dream about Mother Abigail at all. She only has the Dark Man dreams.
He's like fucking her.
Yeah.
But it's just, I hate these. Okay. What I can't figure out is Stephen King honestly trying to give me the story of a conflicted character. I know that's what he's trying to do. Or is he just trying to show that well, this is a battle between God and the devil, so she was always gonna fuck the Dark Man. And I'm like, well, okay, then why do I give a shit? If, like...
There's so many things, especially in book 2,
yeah,
where it's like, this has to happen because God. And I'm like, listen, you're not Brandon Sanderson. You can't make this work.
I've never had a shine warn me of danger, except in the one moment where I needed it to. Convenient. Like... it's just so bad because, like, in the first book, there isn't any of this. Like, there isn't any of these really that I can remember. Any like super contrived, like this character just does things because, well, God or the devil.
Because let's look at Doctor Sleep again. Because
oh God, okay.
You have the birthday party where Abra like makes all the spoons go on the ceiling. It'd be cool if like everyone kind of had like a semi weird story from their childhood, maybe. Like kind of like a little like odd thing, or like because I think
the Jim Morrison thing kind of works for Stu.
Yeah,
where it's like I could see him having The Shining because he has this weird encounter with a supposedly dead guy.
Yeah,
but nobody else really like
because and also in Doctor Sleep you have there's this kid, the baseball kid, and he has the shine, but he kind of makes him better at playing baseball. You can have these characters with these little like things that make you kind of go, I wonder why I was always good at this. Or I wonder why this happened to me, and so that whenever later on you can develop as an actual skill, because the only character in really the main good guy group is like Leo.
Yeah, well, Leo is consistent because you always get the sense that he can read people's intentions, and as Larry does redeem himself and become a better person, Leo warms up to him more.
Yeah.
So that always felt like it made sense. Like when they're like, "Oh, this Leo kid probably is psychic, has the Shining." I'm like, that makes perfect sense.
And Leo's able to, in retrospect, whenever Leo like kind of has a conversation with Larry that's somewhat telepathic a little bit, you kind of go, oh, well, the reason why Leo knows the songs he does on the guitar is because Larry probably was thinking about them, and Leo just kind of plucked it.
I mean, isn't it Ralph who talks later about like his theory about psychic powers? And that
it's Glenn.
It's Glenn. So Glenn, we'll edit that out. But so Glenn has this bit later on where he's like, so this is my theory. My theory is that everybody's actually a little psychic. And as human beings, we always had that sixth sense, the shine. But over time...
those are two different movies.
But over time... why is it really, like, evolutionary advantageous to know that your wife died in a car crash? Like, why do you need to know the grief ahead of time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, if, like, a dinosaur is going to eat you or something, you want to know ahead of time.
Yeah.
So... and I was like, oh, okay, so is Stephen King saying that, like, everyone who survived because they had, like, some weird shining thing?
I mean, that's kind of how I see it as.
I don't understand how a virus can be blocked by psychic powers, but I don't know.
No, it's a psychic virus.
The God and the Devil was
by Randall Flagg, so...
I mean, the God and the Devil exist in this book, so a lot of things can be possible.
I mean, we are told they do, but we don't technically know that God and the Devil exist yet. Like, Randall Flagg, they say that he's in league with the devil, and Mother Abigail's like, I get visions from God, but in The Shining, he got visions from Tony, and that's just The Shining, I guess.
Yeah, but then she does also perform a miracle, so that's...
She does perform a miracle.
Which miracle was that? Where
she heals Franny.
Like when she gets back from her, I went off to the forest to repent my sins, and I came back, and it's like, remember how prophets back in the old days were doubted, so they performed a miracle? And it was like, oh shit, all right, well shit.
We're not there yet.
I know.
But I don't like the whole Mother Abigail like conveniently leaving and then comes back right when the plot gets her to. That's really bad.
Some might call it Deus Ex Machina.
I would call it Deus Ex Machina.
Literally
God out of the machine. Because it's like, oh, Mother Abigail shows up right when the bomb's about to go off, and it's like, oh, now everyone's like wanting to leave the house. It's like, okay,
it's because God told her to.
That's even worse.
He spake, and she did.
God spaketh.
God spaketh.
I want to make a poll. Who's better, Nadine or the Gossip Queen?
The Gossip Queen.
Yeah,
100%.
I'd have to say
100%. Gossip Queen is irrational, like has goals. She's she can sing.
I'd fuck the Gossip Queen.
Especially like late game Nadine, where her hair's gone completely white and she's like passing out and driving a motorcycle and shit like that.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I just love how Harold Laudner it's so bad. Like I'm kind of like Steven. Do you want me to sympathize with Nadine? But you have Harold go. You're just like a stupid bitch. Like
Nadine Moncher, yes. Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. And I was like,
and I'm like,
you.
God, Harold, you're the best fucking character.
You're the most relatable character.
He pretty much leeches off any potential that Nadine had, and I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
I'd rather have. Harold...
I'm glad Nadine exists so that Harold could fuck her in the ass.
Yeah,
that's all I care about.
Yeah. Oh God.
So all the teams, all the groups have finally made it to Boulder, and
oh my God, we just skipped like.
No, this is accurate.
It feels like it.
Oh, I know.
Also, Joe and Larry bond because Joe doesn't drop the thing on Larry's fingers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they're kind of like following Stu, Franny, and Harold a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting like less of them because there's so much of we have that Mother Abigail bit. We have that trash can / kids section, which ends in a crucifixion of people doing drugs, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, Randall Flagg is against drug use, and initially they don't explain why, and so I'm just like, Stephen King, like, you must hate yourself like a lot to like want yourself to be crucified just for doing cocaine. But then later on they're like, no, if you do drugs, it means you're not like as efficient as you can be for the Dark Man. I'm like, that's okay, all right, perfect.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's good. I agree with Randall Flagg.
I mean, I don't, but it was like a weird moment of like, oh, okay, I guess he's very lawful evil.
Oh yeah. Like, hey, just don't break the rules.
Yeah, he's like, treat you like one of my own. I'll give you a sick crystal with my Eye of Sauron in it.
Yeah,
but just don't break the rules.
Yeah, don't break the rules.
So
just that one little thing.
So Joe becomes Leo as soon as he sees Mother Abigail. Is like, I'm better, and everyone's like, what the fuck? And then Nadine is like evil as shit around her.
It was so like,
you can say bad. It's okay.
It wasn't good. I mean, it was kind of cool because Mother Abigail was just like owning her. Like, oh, I know you're suspicious. I could just like out you in front of everyone. But they also, okay, here's another stupid thing. They do this bit where Mother Abigail's like, no, I know something's wrong with Nadine. She's hiding something. And then she just gets distracted and she's like, I guess God didn't want me to know at that point. I'm like, go fuck yourself.
No, it was the opposite. She was like, God, did I let you down? Did I fail to see your sign?
Yeah, they do this. They do this thing that Stephen King does this thing again, where it's sort of like a parallel of like the thing where he does, where it's like, and then that's the last time, blah blah. But then he'll do the thing where it's like, but then later on, they would hate that they didn't realize that one thing.
Yeah, I think that was not good.
And that happens so often in Boulder. Oh
yeah. Again, Stephen King has like interesting ideas every now and then of going, oh, that's ominous, but then he'll spam them. So it's like,
yeah.
Listen, when like, and in book 1, where they're like, oh, after that weird, almost that crash into the gas station, this guy was talking about how weird like the corpses were. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you're not spoiling anything. You're just going, oh yeah, this event had repercussions that followed him for. But then you have like, oh, Kojak would live longer than Glenn. It's like,
go fuck
what the fuck? So Larry meets Fran looking for Harold.
Yeah.
I thought we just skipped over a lot.
We did. We circled back.
Okay.
Yeah. We circled back.
And yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's weird. Larry and Fran's first meeting is strange to me because she just like sees him from on her balcony.
That was like, weird.
Oh, what the fuck? And they're like out whispering, and it's like,
I gotta say, Stephen King.
Anytime you take that tone, it's just like, listen.
He don't write people how people speak good.
No.
Everyone feels like so fucking wrong. It feels like I'm reading a Silent Hill book where like no one actually speaks
they're
like
all
humans.
Dubbed. They're all dubbed incorrectly.
Yeah, they're all dubbed incorrectly. And like I hate the thing where like everyone like is so like witty.
Yeah.
Sure. It's like hyper Joss Whedon sometimes.
It's like, oh, our humor just immediately clicks. It's like, that's not how that works.
Or like the thing where like Larry just brings up his constable thing and Fran's like, okay.
Also, it's weird. It's weird how Larry's like riding around, and then apparently nobody else goes out onto their balconies or has their windows open, like in Boulder. So the one time when he looks up and sees someone, he freaks out. I'm like, what? Why? I was initially so confused because I was like, because they don't immediately identify who's on the bike, and I'm like, wait, like, is this someone from Franny's past? Or is it like Harold or something?
Is it Jesse?
Like, is it like I'm just like so confused. I'm like, wait, like, why would they react like this way to Fran? Or are they just like some weirdo? And then it was like, oh no, it's just Larry. Oh, okay.
But Larry is apparently some weirdo, because why the fuck did he react like that?
I don't know.
So there's also the shit that happens where like people will just like they'll say a thing and everyone kind of go whoop and they got a pep in their step and they're all like, "Dude, look at me." Where I'm like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?"
Yeah. Almost everyone will start off a meeting going, "I'm kind of nervous. I don't know if I can do that." Immediately gets applause. It's like, "Oh, okay, I can do this."
Like, oh, look at me. And then like people just say weird shit that just everyone's like, "Yeah, that." And I'm like, I don't get this fucking whatever the fuck you're saying.
I don't come down as hard on it as you guys. I never really had this problem, but that I can think of. There's definitely moments, but I don't think it's like as bad as you're
It's
saying.
just like weird. It kind of takes me out of the scene sometimes.
Like it works. I think it worked best for Stu because he like kept it up. Like it was a gradual thing of he's gaining confidence. Whereas I think it's a couple chapters later where it's Ralph like talking to the meeting and he's like staring at his paper and then like they're like, "Oh yeah, that's great," and he's like, "Oh okay." And
there are bits where Franny's like, "I don't want to be on the committee like immediately after. I'm great at this," and it's like, "Oh okay." Yeah, stuff like that.
Or like we're sure we're just that. Just...
So then after this we put up all these posters and there's gonna be a big meeting in Boulder.
Yeah.
And Larry goes to meet Harold. And I love how Stephen King describes like Harold's like when he is like caught off guard, like for a moment like his real like very paranoid, very like dark self will appear, and then he immediately like covers it up with a smile that he's practiced so well. And I'm like, this is really good.
And he talks about how he has like a politician's handshake where it's like it's apparent that he's putting on airs, but it's not like he's covering something up.
And in all the dialogue, it's like he's always like giving exactly the most neutral answer, like, "Oh, that's a great idea."
Yeah.
And it's just like, do you have any more thoughts? He's like, "Oh, well, whatever." And so I really liked how like Leo Joe reacts to Harold. He's like, "No, I'm not going in that house, Larry." And Larry's like, "No, he seems like a nice guy." And then he goes inside. He's like, "This guy's weird." And then this is when he notices the stone out of place on the in the fireplace that he's hiding the journal in. Yeah.
And Larry's like, "Well, Harold's a nice guy. I shouldn't look at his stuff."
And he looks at it and he sees that it's ledger, but he doesn't open it.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, maybe this is from like the last people or something."
Which is that's something you could assume.
Yeah,
because everyone's kind of new to town, so that made sense. That didn't seem to contrived to me. That seemed very realistic.
No.
From like a first meeting, and it kind of.
Plus, even if it was his, he respects Harold.
Yeah, he respects him because he basically is alive because of him. So. This was just a really good, like, this is what I wanted. Like, when I got the promise of the end of book 1 of, like, people meeting up, like, this Larry meeting Harold was, like, such a good payoff to that whole bit of just, like, oh, like, I mean, he's kind of shifty, but, like, he's a good person overall, like, you know?
Yeah.
You know, but
also, after having for home, Mother Abigail I don't think ever plays the guitar ever again.
No.
Why? That was such an important part of her character.
It was just so that she could relate to Larry.
Yes.
That was entirely it.
Absolutely.
I hate you.
It was a dream guitar.
And because Stephen King likes the idea of like this old black woman on a rocking chair with a guitar. And then he doesn't care about if that like impacts the character. It's just like, oh, it's a cool image.
Also, Larry like rejecting his like musicianal roots after a while.
Yeah.
Like the bit where like Leo starts playing Baby Can't Dig Your Man and Fran's like, "Oh, what's this song?" And Larry's like, "Who fucking cares?"
He's like, that's a long time.
Yeah, he's like, "That's not my style."
Just some nut.
So Franny checks her diary and sees Harold's filthy fucking chocolate.
Because they set up the paydays from like the beginning of book 2.
The paydays are so
actually,
important.
that was in book 1. Yeah,
that
was in book 1. So he was setting that up like the whole time of like, oh, he eats chocolate paydays and nobody else likes them.
Because Larry brings him a bottle of wine and a fuck ton of chocolate paydays.
And he's like immediately like, because he's fitter now. He's like slimmed down a bit. He's like, I don't really eat sweets anymore. And he's like about to like fucking kill him in his mind. He's
because Harold kind of mentions that like his complexion's gotten better.
Yeah,
you know, he feels a bit better with his life. So he's kind of like, since he's cut off the sweets,
and his hatred is literally making him like stronger. It's so funny
because as we find out later on, he's called Hawk. And then like we don't, because we weren't really told of Harold's physical change until like it's already happened.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like Harold has gone from this big chubby dude to like lean and like, you know. Yeah. Because he's working like on like 3 committees.
He's helping like everybody.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is like even if people are like
and he's fucking Nadine Knightley.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
But he does. But he does because he's a player.
Good for him.
And she finds the chocolate thumbprint because Stephen King makes a point of saying, well, nobody likes paydays, so only Harold could have done this. And it's like, you know, I accept this plot point.
It was a good building off point because you have the previous chapter where she's talking with Larry and she's like, oh, maybe I've been too harsh on Harold.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this was a really interesting way of seeing him. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I was a bitch about it, and then finding out that, or being almost certain that he read her diary and going, oh fuck, all right. Hopefully everything's fine with him.
And then we get Mother Abigail having a vision and going, God is displeased at my vanity because I was really vain thinking that I was leading these people, but it was actually God, even though it was actually her. And so she's
even though she was like, I don't really want to be a part of the committees or anything.
She
like,
gives
I'll
up
help if you want.
She gives up all power. Does not like take any role beyond. I greet people when they come in because I mean I'm the reason they're here. Wouldn't it be weird if I wasn't greeting them? But God's apparently like, nope. Even though that's exactly how I wanted you to do it, that's. No, you're vain. And she's like, I have to wander the wilderness as the prophets did. And then she just leaves and everyone's like, where'd she go? I guess we'll go look for her.
But in better news, happier news, Kojak survived.
Kojak!
Fought off some wolves, hobbled through the fucking desert and wilderness, and found his way back to Glen.
The chapter was so intense when he was fighting the wolves.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, he's completely outmatched.
So when Steven was like, you know, my buddy George does these wolf dreams, and I really like them, you know?
And he hadn't written
Wolves.
that yet.
No, he had. Maybe. Let's say he did.
Let's say he did. And then we get Franny sneaking into Harold's place alone, and she. Okay, so remind me, you don't see any kind of indication of the bomb till the second time they visit.
Yes,
because we don't get the scene of Harold, Billy. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So she goes downstairs and is like, it looks kind of normal, but she like leaves a door open.
Yes. Okay. So here's how it is. So she goes in through the basement window. So she slides it open, crawls into the basement, goes up the stairs, is rifling around. Nadine comes, knocks on the door.
Yeah.
And she hides right where the ledger's right where the loose stone is.
Yeah.
But Harold took the ledger with him, so whatever. So why did
yeah.
So what's really weird about that is that when I first read it, I'm like, oh, so the Dark Man compelled Nadine to go there at that time,
right,
to counter what God was trying to do, by having her find the ledger. And then later on, it's revealed that Harold took it with him that day.
Yeah, so she had checked, she wouldn't have found anything.
So then what's the fucking... And then she leaves.
And then she pisses herself first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to throw that in.
No, very important.
But it's not the piss that he finds. It's the open door to the basement, and then her sneaker prints on the dirt underneath the windowsill.
Yeah. It's some real Sherlock Holmes shit.
And then he studies the shoe prints, and then we have
yeah.
And then we have 7 fucking scenes of Fran going, "Oh hey Stu, Harold was over and he was looking at my sneakers. Isn't that so funny?"
Yeah, that was some that bit where it was like, you have really nice shoes,
When
Fran.
it happened once, I was like, but then it kept happening, and I'm like, Jesus, I get it. He's looking at her fucking sneakers. I remember. I'm reading the book.
But we officially,
Sorry.
We officially get our ad hoc committee crew nominated by Harold in a cunning stroke.
Who the fuck is Sue?
She was one of the sex slaves with Dana.
She's the other one. She's the other one.
Wow, and you cut that out of the original? Jesus. So one of the sex slave characters is on the fucking committee, and another one is sent on a fucking mission to assassinate Randall Flagg.
Yes, so that chapter introducing them should be very important. Looks at you.
I'm curious. I don't think they cut the whole thing. I think they just cut them talking about their time with
well, I don't know.
Well, I could be wrong.
Anything you cut with them is a bad cut because they're so important to the plot.
In fact, you should have more with them because I don't get who Sue is as a character.
I remember the moment leading up to Dana's confrontation with Randall Flagg, and I'm like, well, nothing's gonna happen, right? Nothing's gonna... Okay.
And then you have Nadine making her stand, trying to fuck the shit out of Larry.
This was so bad.
This was the worst.
This was the worst bit in the whole book, where it's literally Nadine says, I know that if the Dark Man fucks me and impregnates me, presumably, he wins. So now that he's with someone, because I rejected Larry's advances before, but now
because he has tried.
He tried. Now that he's with someone, I'm going to try to seduce him. And then he rejects her, and she's like, well, that's the last chance I had to be a good guy. If only Larry had cheated on his girlfriend and fucked me. I'm like, you are the worst character. You are the worst kind of person.
What an incel.
Like, she's such an incel because she's just like, oh, because someone didn't fuck me at this moment, I just give up all hope of redemption. The Dark Man can fuck me as much as he wants. It's like, okay, all right.
The only good thing that came out of this sequence is when Larry goes back and Lucy is like, oh, so you're not just gonna like cuck me out of existence? He's like, no, I'm gonna be a good person.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, like, Larry's arc was good. It's just
I love Larry, dude.
Nadine was just the worst. Like, I was reading that and I'm like, you cannot think this is like characterization of a character that is good. Like, this is not good. You can't hinge like the entire like thing on her just going, I didn't want to fuck you then. Nothing changed, but now I want to fuck. You have to be a bad person to make me a good person.
I was gonna say, I feel like he was trying to like go for that, where it's like her only means of escaping absolute damnation is appealing to the bad side of Larry.
Yes.
And it's like, you could have done something with that.
Because he was trying to set it up with the whole, it's Rita, right?
Yeah.
That's the woman he meets.
Yeah.
They were trying to kind of like parallel that. Like, oh, just give in to like your base nature. But Larry wasn't with anyone during that section.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was with Rita and he brought her all the way to Boulder and like cared for her. And then he was like, now I'm going to go, it wasn't like that. So it was infuriating because it was like Nadine is such a weird, just schizophrenic character. Yeah. And he doesn't portray it well enough where I can buy that she's conflicted. It's not like she's like, I've explored every option. The only option is for him to fuck me. I should have done it earlier, but I didn't think of it. It's like, no, I'm morally right for saying you're wrong for not fucking me. It's like, that's not bad. True.
Well, it's also like, it's because it's so drastic, because she's so like chaste and like, because she mentions how she's uninterested completely, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh, I'm wearing this tight dress and no underwear and like grinding on you, and I just like want you to fuck me now. And like Larry is like, what the fuck? This is like kind of sexual assault on my part.
She doesn't like try to play it as like I love you or anything. It's like, no, I just need like your cock. And he's like, what?
Yeah, because
and there's nobody else in Boulder who will fuck her. It has to be Larry.
Because the implication is that Lucy is just like, that Larry isn't interested in her, really. He's just, like, fucking her because she's easy, but he actually has this connection with Nadine.
Well,
but then it just disappears once they get to Boulder.
Even if you want to play it as Larry is with Lucy because it is his chance to improve himself, that is, like, he's still... I always saw it as, like, he did care about her. He just wasn't as attracted to her sexually as Nadine.
Yeah.
Which is not... That's not even the same thing. Like,
yeah, because you can, like, be in love with someone. Yeah. Fully in love with someone. But then look at someone else and go, yes, they are physically very much more attractive, but
what we're attracted
they're a shit human being, so I'm not attracted to them and as like I'm in love with them. And even if they wanted to try to fuck me, they're still a bad human being, so I don't want to.
What we're attracted to changes on like changes all the time.
Yeah.
Like, we can develop things, we can lose things, we can find someone attractive and then look at them and go, why did I ever find that?
Yeah.
So like this whole thing of Nadine, it's not, if it had been some tragic love triangle where it was like, no, Nadine really did love him, but she felt like if she did, like, the Dark Man would hurt him and hurt him worse than anybody else because she betrayed him. But that's not how it comes off.
That's not what it is.
Because she's a bad person. And
she's a bad...
And so, like, the more I dislike Nadine, the more I like Harold. And so when he treats her like shit, I'm like, good, rot, you son of a bitch. It's like, but anyway.
It's satisfying. We're getting there.
I want to break up a thing real quick. So we've been talking a lot about Boulder. And who is a character we've not even mentioned once? Nick. Nick is so fucking important in part 1. And, like, he's so fucking important early part 2, because Nick's, like, the leader.
Yes,
and even Mother Abigail admits at the very end, Nick was the one who was supposed to lead you.
Yeah.
But now he's gone. And it's like, was he? Because he didn't do anything, and I never got a fucking POV of Nick. Like, ever. I get like 18 fucking Nadine chapters. I got a fucking 40-page goddamn Mother Abigail chapter. And all this fucking shit with, like, everybody the fuck else but Nick.
Yeah.
And Tom.
Why? Okay, here's my question. Why didn't Nick go to kill Randall Flagg instead of Dana.
Oh.
Because they set up that Nick would be tempted by the Dark Man to have his hearing and his voice restored. They set that shit up in one of the best bits of book 1.
Oh, that's so good.
And, like, imagine if Nick's like, you know what? I actually do kind of want those things, so Randall Flagg will believe me if I go to him. I'm going to try to kill him.
And I can look over Tom.
Yes, and he would go with Tom, who he, like, and then we get these random characters. It's like, what if Nick just blew up? You could have blown up Sue. She's just a random character.
Or the judge.
Or the judge.
Or Dana.
Or anybody, but, like, Nick?
Or Ralph.
Okay.
Or Glenn. But Nick.
Yes.
Really?
Like, Nick, who I wanted more than anything to face the Dark Man and say, no, in person, I am telling you, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
No, he just blows up.
And especially when it's once he meets Mother Abigail that it's like, oh yeah, God's leading you. And he's like, I don't know about that. Like, I was looking forward to seeing that kind of theological struggle for him of going, do I have a destiny? Am I, like, supposed to do... I'm just this deaf mute kid.
Because Nick is supposed to be the leader of the whole group.
Yes.
And he is. In all the meetings, like, Nick's the one proposing all the really important things.
Yes.
Like anytime Ralph is like, oh, hold on, Nick's got a note for us, everyone fucking drops their shit.
Yeah, they're like, okay, all right.
And then outside of meetings, it's just, oh, we're going to focus on Stu and Fran and Harold and maybe Larry sometimes and Nadine, but also we'll focus on Kojak.
Kojak gets a POV chapter.
But Nick, he's
who I think we all agreed was like our second favorite character in book 1.
Besides Stu?
Yes. Yeah, he was the second best character because his chapters were like the best.
They were fucking amazing.
And he was like such a compelling character because he kept losing bits of himself. He had one eye.
Yes.
He was down to one eye and no speech, no hearing. Like,
leg fucked up from a gunshot.
Like, imagine how great it would be if he faces Randall Flagg. Randall Flagg's like, I will give you all of this back. All you have to do is like kneel before me. And he's like, fuck you. And then he just takes his other eye and Nick's like, I don't care, fuck yourself. And then he finally embraces God at that point. Like, he's like, you know what, it's fine, I'm dying, and like I see a bright light. Whoa. What? Sorry, what?
You're wanting good things.
Sorry, I mean...
You should be.
Oh.
Stephen King is bad at writing stories. Endings. Sorry, that's the part that's bad. That's everything else is Stephen King.
I remind you, when we were reading book 1, we're like, this is like the... I mean, we've only... Well, okay. So you and I read The Shining and Dr. Sleep, and we were both like, yeah, The Stand is like the best book he's written that I've read. And it's like, oh...
Yeah, but just Nick, man, like, it's so... It really is infuriating because, like, he's such an interesting character and you get nothing out of him.
Yeah.
And then Mother Abigail says, oh, yeah, well, he's gone. He was supposed to lead you. I'm like, really? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, it was very... Like, because in the moment I was, like, sad, but it's because I would never get any Nick again. It wasn't because, like, it was... He didn't really even sacrifice himself. He kind of just opens the box and then... Or is that him?
Yeah. He somehow knows the box is in there.
The Shine. Because in that scene, all the characters unlock the Shine for some reason. Or, like, Franny and him do.
They level up
and he just somehow has the wrong instinct of going, well, everyone's evacuating, but I'll see what's wrong. And it's like...
Yeah, and there is kind of a good bit where he hears Harold's last message, but it's like...
He doesn't, though.
But he doesn't hear it because he's deaf.
Yeah.
What if, like, Dana opened up the box and then she heard Harold or anybody else?
I mean, she dies anyway. So, spoiler alert.
Jesus.
Well, no, I'm just saying. Like, I would rather have Nick again. Have your main characters do the more important things than your minor characters most of the time.
But
you didn't see that coming.
I didn't. What's your point?
Subverted your expectations.
Good job, Rian Johnson.
Are you in part 3 already?
I've read 50 pages of part 3. It's okay. I needed to know, and then I found out that Julie comes back. I'm like, well, that's good. But we get like, we already talked about Hawk. We already talked about the committee meetings.
Their vote to send scouts to.
Yes. So the three
the scouts are a hotly debated argument.
Very hotly debated,
which is good. I like the moral argument of, can we really send like a post-hypnotic suggested mentally ill man to like be our spy who could potentially die? Yeah, but he wants to help in a sense.
Yeah, I really love the breakdown they do of Tom, of how it's just like, no, like, yeah, he's a little slow, but he has moments of incredible clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, in book 1. Sorry,
He has that
yeah.
bit where they post-hypnotic suggest him, and he's like has way more knowledge of Randall Flagg than they do.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I know like other names that you don't know him by, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Because they were kind of implying he had the shine a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's another thing that you think we don't have enough Nick sections in fucking Boulder. Fucking Tom, dude. Just suddenly, like, Tom's just gone for, like, hundreds. And they talk about Tom.
Sure.
Like, yeah, we're hypnotizing Tom. But, like, it's all off screen. And finally we go to
We
his
have a
house.
scene with them, yeah.
And it's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And and it's those things where I'm like, we should have had more. Because there's nothing from Nick and Tom.
It's almost like King focuses on the new characters that he didn't have to introduce rather than the ones that he bothered to introduce. You know, like, anyway.
But I love when Harold gets the nickname Hawk. You have this great little internal bit where he's just like, "Ah, fuck these people." I remember when I was in high school, everyone called me names. I could ignore that. I can ignore their compliments. Maybe I'm in the wrong here. And then that's when he meets Nadine, and it's like, "Oh, you fucking cunt."
Yeah, that moment where he's just kind of like, we're like, you get those moments where Harold is very relatable because, unlike some other characters, some other characters that you could think of, he has moments where he is like again, there's a bit where he finds Franny's journal, and he's like, there's a moment where he's like, I could just put this back and let them be together and just improve myself and be a better person, and then he just gives into it because he's like too curious and jealous.
And it's so because I've certainly had moments where it's like, I remember moments in my life where I was just miserable and I felt like just completely alone, and it's like, well, I could just turn over a new leaf. Like, I don't have to carry all this around with me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not helping me at all, and it's just this weird protection of, oh, if I just drop my hatred, then it was pointless. It's like, no,
but it wasn't. It's fine because so he gets the nickname Hawk, and like that was so good because I knew that he was gonna do something bad, like with a bomb.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I knew. I knew something about Harold and a bomb, and I was like, I have no idea what context this is gonna take. And he starts building the bomb out of a lot of things. He gets like this walkie-talkie set.
And some dynamite, yeah.
Yeah, some dynamite.
Distills some fucking nitroglycerin.
I love that bit where, like, again, this is so fucking funny because I hate Nadine, but Nadine's like, he's like, Nadine, listen, dynamite sweats. If I, like, do one thing wrong here, we're both gonna die. So please just shut the fuck up. And I'm like, that's a very relatable character right there.
And it's so great because, again, like, Harold was this very sexually starved loser in high school. He gets, like, a little bit of tail for a couple weeks, and he's already just like, I don't give a shit about you.
He's such a Chad, dude. He's like, because at first it's like Harold gets, like, seduced by the dark side, and it's like, oh, man, all this pleasure that I never experienced. But then he just literally, like, gets it all out of his system, and he's like, you know, you're really just like, I don't give a fuck about it. Like, you do not do anything to improve my life. I don't need sex anymore.
He gets up early one morning, goes off to the bureau committee early, and he's like, you know, I haven't done a lot of thinking, just a lot of fucking, and I've been led astray.
Yeah. He's literally the definition of a MGTOW. He's a man going his own way. He's like, listen, I'm gonna get to like Las Vegas. Randall Flagg will probably give me like some people I can fuck and not care about. But I certainly don't care about you, Nadine. And I'm like, this is so funny.
Also, let's shit on Nadine some more. Why don't we?
Why not?
Same morning, the same section where like he goes and Nadine's like, why don't you just stick it in me already? And I'm like, God, you fucking like. I'm sorry, Harold's like being respectful of your wishes, and you're like, hey, listen, Harold, we both know.
Like, it's
we both know that I'm saving myself for Randall Flagg's cock in my vagina, right?
Yes.
And Harold's like, yeah, I get that. But
I can fuck your ass, it's fine.
You can fuck my mouth, my ass, my pits, my feet, whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Just that one little thing. Harold's like, okay, deal.
How fucked is it that like this guy who's respecting consent, she's like, don't touch this one part. He's like, okay. And then he's supposed to be the bad guy, and I'm like, but he's clearly like, I mean, like, I know part of it is like he doesn't want to get killed by Randall Flagg, but he definitely is like, okay. I'm satisfied with all these other things. Why not?
It is a moment for both of them where it's just like, yeah, it is such a little thing that we're, you know, not fucking in the pussy, but
ass is great.
It'd be nice.
Because there's that bit where Randall Flagg pops up in the window, and they're like, and then isn't it Nadine who sees him? And she's like, oh. And it's like, he's like, don't stick it in there, Harold. And it's just like, why didn't he pop up when she wanted, like, God, I don't know. Why didn't he pop up when she was getting Larry to, like, do it? I don't know.
It's like, oh, Harold, you terrible person. You respect consent to people's boundaries.
Probably because Randall knew that.
Go on. Sorry, I'll rant in a moment. Please go.
In response, he probably knew that Nadine's attempt on seducing Larry was really dumb and ill-conceived and wouldn't sprout anything, so he's like, you can try.
Randall Flagg. I could interrupt this, but
you might get Harold, but so I'll step in for that. But Larry, you blew your shot, kid.
Yeah.
So Nadine, again, let's shit on Nadine some more.
Sure. Worst character in the book.
Looking forward to Amber Heard getting.
Oh yeah, what a fucking cunt whistle.
But I'm afraid they're gonna like try to make her more like, oh, she's actually a good person. And
they'll
like,
try.
They're gonna like, oh, Harold is like actually pressuring her into sex, and it's like, this is stupid.
I love Harold, but anyway, so Nadine. So okay, so Nadine knows that Harold is up to some shit. So she goes over to Harold and is like, listen, I get that, like,
wait, question. Does she talk to Randall Flagg
before going to Harold? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Because she goes up to the amphitheater and is like, and then she has the vision, and then Randall Flagg is on the loudspeaker and is like, hey.
Yeah, he's on all the speakers, and I was like, okay.
He's like, hey, a Harold guy, go
seduce him.
Go do that. Go check him out.
Then he like screeches at her.
Yeah.
So in Nadine's mind, she's like, well, I know Harold up to some shit, and I know he's gonna do something fucky, and we're both outsiders, so I'll go to him.
Well, the Dark Man says that Harold's kind of in their camp.
You can roll with this several ways, Nadine. You could just go up to Harold and go, hey, listen, dude, I know what you're up to.
Yeah.
Because Randall Flagg told me. Yeah. And he'll be like, oh, he did? Yes. So I need somewhere to stay. You and me will work together. Now, what's your plan? Let's do this. And Harold can go, oh, well, okay, well, all right, let's talk about this, because I'm an intellectual. And then they have a conversation, they have a nice dinner, and they talk about it, which is the logical way to do it. Or you're Nadine. And you go up to him and go, well, I have to, like, suck his cock all night. And let him fuck me in the asshole repeatedly. And then he'll trust me. And it's like, you know...
Which is kind of true, because in Harold's interior monologue, he's like, I don't trust her at all. Like, I have to be very careful. And then as soon as she starts, like, I can suck your cock, he's like, maybe, I cannot deny my heart is great to decide this.
but like, you also, like, can't say that, like, they could have come to some sort of resolution.
No. Their first scene together should not have been sex. That should have been, like, the second scene with them.
But also, on top of that, so it's Nadine's choice.
Yes.
To go the route of seducing... It's not like Harold said, hey, listen, I'll tell you all my plans.
Yeah.
If you guzzle my cock schnoz all fucking day long, all right? And you just play with my balls in your mouth for at least 7 hours straight. Then I'll tell you.
Oh, God.
It
hurt so bad, but it felt so good.
So he doesn't, like, go that route.
No.
It's completely 1000% Nadine's plan to use her body.
Yes.
And then she goes on these fucking diatribes about, oh, Harold, this fucking pig.
Yeah, this pervert. He has me do all these weird things. I'm dressed up as, like, a sailor maid costume.
You made this arrangement.
Yes.
You are the one. It's like if, like, Josiah, if, like, you hooked up with somebody with the sole express purpose of, like, hey, listen, like, we're going to have sex.
Yeah.
And that's all we're here for.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. Then, like, after 3 meetups, they're like, man, all you do is fuck me. And it's like, yeah, that's what we agreed on.
You never asked for anything else.
You never explicitly, like, you never said anything else. And it's like, oh, you won't fuck me in the pussy. You didn't. You said I shouldn't.
Yes. No. It's completely like, I don't know if Stephen King is trying for this to be like, this complex character, if he's honestly just like really just like hates women, because I mean, like, he doesn't, because there's other female characters that aren't like this, but it's just so bad. Like this is such like bullshit way to like make the femme fatale like sympathetic.
Like, they could have easily just been like partners in the sense of like, hey, we're both, because Nadine was a school teacher. She's an intellectual. She's smart. She can persuade people and help people and can really understand how people work. So she could have been like trying to play the committee from a different point of view, or Harold did more of like and they could have like...
No, but he had to parallel how Harold has perverted things, like he has her dress up, whereas Stu and Fran just have good old-fashioned missionary sex.
So boring,
and that's why they're good people and Harold's a bad person. It's like, that's a really stupid parallel.
That is really stupid. Because, like, you could have had because they even bring up the possibility of Harold running like a second, like an opposing faction within Boulder.
Sure.
You could have done that with him and Nadine as like the leading.
I thought that's what they were doing.
I was hoping that's what they were going to do.
I thought it was,
but no, Nadine just like licks his asshole and like they went there, and then that's it, and then they do that all day, and then
I can't wait for us to censor this, but it's like we censor only specific things. So you censor some things but don't censor others. It's like,
every other word,
Yeah.
So you have lick blank asshole. And it's like, well, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but like it's really bad because Nadine's like, hey, I'm gonna fuck you, and then she's like, how dare you just fuck me? And it's like, really, bitch?
Yeah, no, his contempt for her is completely justified in my opinion. I mean, look at it from his point of view. He's like, Nadine, your like whole purpose. Like literally, your whole purpose is just to have sex with this guy. I feel like could be a contribution to his, his community. I feel like I could be a good leader in Randall Flagg's division. Like, I want to be a productive member of society. You don't. You just are like, do whatever other people tell you. So of course I find you pathetic. It's like, no, I do too. Like,
yeah.
So the book is dangerous because it makes me go, no, Harold Lauder. I mean, I don't want him blowing people up, but I get him leaving to join the Dark Man.
Me too.
I get it.
Because look at Larry and Fran, who are people, man and woman. They work together. They talk. They figure out things together. They work together on stuff. They solve problems together. They don't have sex because they don't need to. Like, just because you have two characters of opposing sexes helping each other does not mean they must fuck.
I really think it's just because he wanted to portray them as degenerates, and he wanted to portray like, oh, I always cut away when Stu and Fran fuck, so that means it's like pure and good and like they love each other. But if I talk about it like in more detail with them, it's more seedy and they're more degenerate people. Like that's entirely what it is.
God, it's so
like that's the only reason. But anyway,
so we got our Scouch. Larry goes to the judge and he's like, hey, listen. The judge is like, hey, listen, I'll do it. It's fine.
I know I'm old.
I know I'm old as shit. I want an adventure. And it's like,
and he's so happy to do it.
It's really depressing.
The judge is just happy to be there, guys.
And then Dana has her like switchblade or whatever.
Yeah, so
her I'll tell your assassin's hidden blade. I remember watching the miniseries and I was like, wow, that's so cool. She has like a hidden blade type thing. And then I saw the first trailer for Assassin's Creed and I was like, that's from The Stand. Fuck you.
Also, I know it's like a quaint 80s 90s thing to like kiss your friends hello goodbye, but when Stu is like, oh, Dana, let me give you a kiss before you go, she's like, oh, lay another one on me. It's like,
I forgot about that.
I want to thank you.
I repressed that
for being the one to bring this up. So I feel like whenever there's like gay shit, I have to be the one to talk about it. I'm glad you're the one who actually had to bring it up.
No, yeah,
because even you could see that it's bad.
Yes. Oh, it's fucking terrible.
Because here's the thing, because you have that bit where it's like she's a lesbian. Stu's like, what? You mean she hates men? And I'm like, Stu, buddy,
he's a simple Texan man.
Yeah, he's a dumb old Texan.
See, and again, this is a simple Texan man, and this was originally written in the 70s, and I don't feel like Stephen King changed this part. So
no,
yeah,
in the 90s,
and then like I feel like, and yeah, there's the thing of like friends kissing hello goodbye.
Yeah,
but the way that this scene plays out feels like Stu's like kissing her to like make sure she's not really a full lesbian.
Oh, I didn't get that at all, but that's disturbing.
Well, no, because it is Dana has a girlfriend who is a lesbian. She is bisexual, and Stu cannot comprehend it at all.
Yeah.
And Stu doesn't get that she's bi, so Stu still, because Stu doesn't know what that means. He's done texting her. So he still thinks that she's a lesbian.
Yes.
So he kisses her, kind of like, "Are you really a lesbian? Does that mean that this doesn't do anything for you?" And she's all like, "Oh, come back here, you hunk of mama." And then he's like,
it was literally like a Home Improvement, like,
I saw it more kind of disturbing because
you saw it more disturbing. Go on
a psychological level, because Dana's the one that got Fran getting all jealous because she and Stu showed like attraction to each other.
Right.
So it was more like Stu going, "Oh, she might die," and even though I'm with Fran, well, she might die, so might as well give her a kiss. And
then after they kiss, Dana's like, "Man, Fran's so lucky."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I mean, I kind of had all the feelings you guys experienced, but I did find it a little heartwarming that Stu's like, "Yeah, she could die," you know.
And that was the last they ever saw Dana.
Oh, I forgot they say that, and I'm like, come on.
And that's the last anyone in the free zone ever saw Dana. And I'm like, wow, thanks. I hate it.
It's so bad.
Thanks for spoiling the book for me, Steven. You know I'm not done reading it.
But the judge, Tom Cullen and Dana are the ones they send out west to Las
They
Vegas.
talk about it a lot before that actually happens.
Yeah.
There's so many meetings of them talking about it.
So here's the horrifying thing is, they talk about it forever, and then they leave, like, right at the end of book 2, and I'm like, oh shit, like, there's only 200 pages left in book 3, plus, like, the 100 left in book 2, and I'm like, what the fuck is gonna happen? Like,
also, because, like, at the end of book 2, spoilers, a bunch of people leave for Las Vegas, and it's like, but you just sent out scouts.
Yeah.
They haven't come back yet, Mother Abigail, you dumb bitch.
She was in a coma.
Oh, whatever.
She had a last.
Well, the scouts weren't sent with God's blessing, whereas our heroes are.
Oh god, that's what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
God's blessing, that spells moon. Anyway.
Good job.
So we have a new survivor who shows up to the place, to Boulder. And it was a survivor who had twins.
Oh, the doctor!
Yeah.
And so this is one of my favorite Fran chapters, which
this is good.
It's not a high bar, I will say.
Come on.
I don't love Fran.
I'm on Nathan's side with this one.
I mean, I don't love her, but she's good.
I like Molly Ringwald's Fran.
I'd say out of all of our protagonists, Fran is the weakest.
Who are we counting as protagonists?
The good people of Boulder that don't go over to Randall Flagg's side.
As opposed to the
POV characters.
Okay, all right. I'll accept that.
Yeah.
So, like, when, again, not to say that Stephen King has thoughts about women, but when his literal worst character and worst POV character are both women, that's kind of But,
I agree.
But yeah, again,
Kojak was a POV.
This is a really great bit of, like, oh, I'm really, really concerned about my baby. I hope it's okay. And then you find out, oh, they died, so mine probably will. And the doctor's just like, no. There was a lot of other things going on. It'll be okay.
But they even say at one point, like, the odds of the guy who gave you the baby being immune are very extremely small.
Because I forget in the miniseries if it's, because I know they cut out the boyfriend character.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that maybe it's Stu who gets her pregnant in the miniseries, and they just make it. Yeah, maybe.
I'm very curious to watch.
Or
this
they might have
miniseries.
cut it out all together to make it more simpler.
But the baby's like such a symbolic, like, huge deal of the book.
I clapped for themes.
I mean, no, but seriously, like,
Sorry.
like the baby, if it gets born or not, is like, it's the future of mankind. Like, the whole point of the book is we're not going to repopulate. So the fact that she's pregnant is like the main thrust of the story. So, I mean, not the main. It's not like everybody's concerned about the baby.
No, it's not, because you can't have a baby standing and it be, a good thing.
The baby standing.
Because it's the stand.
I know. but yeah, no, I really like kind of building the dread of, like, I don't know what's going to. It's not like Stephen King said, but Fran didn't know that all her worries were not to be had, and it's like, no, at least he didn't do that.
Thank God he restrained them.
Yeah, he restrained himself then. He kept that secret.
And then you have Ralph, just fucking MVP of Boulder, setting up the power plant, getting it all going, just going, it's working, it's working, and then it.
But I love that bit where they describe, like, all the sounds and all the TVs and the radios and the blenders. I totally, this is such a beautiful chapter of just.
It reminded me of in book 1 where, like, we have different cuts of this is the section where, like, the narrator comes back. Yeah.
Yes, this is the bit where it's like this.
There is a buzzsaw in a shed somewhere.
Yeah, it was like the opposite of cutting to how all the people died and suffered.
Yeah.
It was like the opposite of that.
Also, really cool Stephen King to think about, like, the power grid stuff and how, like, oh yeah, when everyone died, they didn't turn off all their shit.
Yes.
So yeah, it's still be on. And, like,
yeah, this town runs on, like, 4 different power plants. We just got one working, so it took everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is really interesting.
And Nick was working on that too. A little bit.
Who?
Okay, sorry, my mistake. Very good friend of mine. But Fran and Larry go into Harold's place because she knows, and she won't tell Stu because
Fran doesn't want to talk about things except for everything else she wants to talk about.
Well, it's not a big deal except for the fact that if she just had told Stu, the bomb thing probably never would have happened.
It's because Stu became the marshal, and they're like, this is technically breaking and entering. So
but, like,
that's so dumb.
That's so fucking
like if
stupid.
you suspect
Fran.
if you suspect that this man has murderous intent.
No, she doesn't suspect murder. She just suspects...
She does.
He talks in his journal at length about how he wants to kill them.
Okay. Oh, okay. Afterwards, yes, she should have told Stu.
Yes.
But I can get her not telling breaking.
But Fran is afraid that Harold might have murderous intent before the journal.
Yes.
And then after, she's like, "Oh, he does."
Yeah, but she's also going back and forth because it's like, well, he's changed so much, so maybe like it's more. I saw it more as she wanted confirmation, not it.
Oh no, I get that. I just mean immediately tell Stu after you read this, but she doesn't.
Oh, absolutely,
she does not. And I'm like, you could have saved lives. You could have saved Nick's life. I guess the Shine didn't tell her to tell Stu at that point. God just decided not to tell her.
Listen, the Shine is a construct, okay? Like, it doesn't...
The Shine is subjective.
Oh, God.
It really is, though.
But then, like, eventually they give Stu Harold's ledger. And then Harold and Nadine ride out of town after putting the bomb in Ralph's house.
Okay, yeah, because, Fran and Larry are in Harold's house. Nadine is planning the bomb in Nick's house.
And, we skipped over a bit, but there's a really good bit where Harold almost has a chance to kill Stu.
Yeah, when they're looking for Mother Abigail.
When they're looking for Mother Abigail, there's that bit where he has his hand. And I love seeing this from two perspectives, because later on it's like, yeah, he just, like, his hand was just, like, balled up in his pocket, and, like, I don't...
He looked like, he must have been really disappointed we didn't find Mother Abigail. And it's like...
Yeah, it's like, no, he had his hand on a gun and could have killed you, and then, like, other people showed up, and it was like...
Yeah.
Like, and that was also a good bit, because, like, Harold was like... if I shoot him, I'm probably going to, like, throw up. I don't know if I can handle, But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I just got reminded.
And then also on the way, Nadine's way back from playing the bomb, she has her motorcycle her moped blackout, ends up in the amphitheater, and the flag's like, they know!
Yeah.
They know!
And then
You dumb fucking bitch!
Yeah.
Why'd you put it back in the loose thing?
See, and this was actually kind of clever that Stephen King did make rules where he's like, no, there is literally a point where Randall Flagg's power takes over, and then this is the point when Mother Abigail's power takes over. So if you're on this side, Randall Flagg can't really directly talk to you. You have to cross over to the other side, which I liked, because then it wasn't like, well, why didn't you just appear in the window and tell them to not... Okay, whatever.
And then she goes and picks up Harold, has white hair, and he's like, what the fuck?
I love that. It's so good.
Yeah, her hair... I do like how the more she is kind of in contact with Flagg, she gets more like of the white hair. I did like that.
Yeah, that was cool.
I was like, because didn't she get the first little hint of that when she was a kid with the...
When she rejects the, or when the kid doesn't find her or whatever. And then more of it after the not Ouija scene.
Ugh.
Yeah, we're like... So okay, real quick. Here's the thing, is we get this, like, bit where it's like, oh, when she was a kid, like, the not Ouija board told her, like... I love you, I'm going, like, you're mine, Nadine, and I own you, I'm gonna fuck you one day, and she's just like...
fuck you.
And she's just, like, terrified, and everyone's terrified, and it's like, so are we supposed to interpret that? I mean, I know Randall Flagg's, like, implied to, like, be immortal, so that's really creepy that he was just, like, sending psychic messages to, like, how old was she, like, 12?
No, the Ouija bit was when she was in college.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
Right.
No.
Yeah. No, but he probably did.
Probably.
He's a bad person.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So and I love it because Harold's like, you fucked up. We have to leave like 6 hours early, and I have to wait at this fucking stupid amphitheater to blow him up. And it's like, oh. But they have their meeting. They all get the shine. They're like, oh, something's up. Actually, I think it's
just Fran.
Well, they hear motorcycles coming.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, we should go check this out. And Fran's like, we should all leave right now.
Yeah.
But not at first. First she's like, I have a feeling, but I'm gonna ignore it because I'm stupid.
God works in mysterious ways. Apparently you can ignore his warnings once, and then if he warns you immediately after, it's fine. But if you ignore his warning one time, then he makes you go out into the wilderness.
But that was just so you can come back later and save them.
I hated this.
Except for Nick, who dies, even though he's the leader.
Again, I was loving the Harold bit where he was like getting ready to detonate it, and he was like, yes, I'm like finally like in control, and like I do this of my own free will. Like, I love that whole bit. And then just all the stuff with the committee I just hated. Like, I hated the whole bit where the bomb went off and Nick died, and like a couch falls on Fran, but she's just miraculously like not dead, and her baby's fine.
Okay, yeah.
And, like, it's like, okay. I mean,
and then Teddy,
at that point, just have her get blown up if God protected her from dying from a couch falling on her.
I mean, she had like her back was almost broken at that point,
but the baby lived.
If it hit her in the back, she would have fallen forward.
It would have pressed the baby down into the fucking mud.
Well, I assume she landed from the shockwave, and then it fell on her.
Yes.
But I still assumed it was like the curved end in, so it was like she was kind of cocooned.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I didn't see it as like the back of the couch smashing.
Oh, I saw it as like the bottom.
And then someone gets decapitated by a rope mallet because they're so powerful.
Did you? Does that actually happen?
He's
okay. I was like, I know a lot of things flew out of that house, but if a rope mallet flew out and I missed that, I will be so angry.
I mean, it is. Someone gets hit by like some broken wood shrapnel, which could very well have been a broken mallet.
For those of you not benefiting from the video, Josiah's eyes widened so much.
I was very afraid. I was like, no, that's not
I would have
true.
ran along with that, but I saw the fear in his eyes. I was like, I have to quell this.
My hair started turning white. I was like, no, that's not true.
No.
But then Fran wakes up.
All right.
Sue's alive. Chad's alive. Who was Chad again?
No, Sue's dead. Chad's dead.
Oh,
dead.
yeah. Nick is dead, and then Sue and Chad die.
And Teddy Weizak. No, Teddy Weizak's wounded, then he dies in the hospital later.
He dies in the hospital.
Teddy, who was Harold's friend in the committee, that's so depressing.
I just want to list the person who was like listing this, wrote this exact sentence. Nick is dead and 8 others, including Sue Stern and Chad Norris. It was a miracle. Like that she lived. And I'm like, okay. But Mother Abigail came back just to die. And Larry's like, why didn't I just fuck Nadine? And I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah, you have that, and meanwhile, like, Lucy is the one taking care of Mother Abigail while everyone else is like, oh man, it sucks that she's basically dying. Lucy's just like, you want to help a little bit?
Oh, also, I do like this line from Randall Flagg. You've been stupid. God may love stupid. I do not.
So,
Wow.
She's like, you know, Mother Abigail's like, Stu, Larry, Ralph, Glenn, it's time for you to make a stand. And I was actually kind of getting excited at this point, even though I knew, wait, we only have like 200 pages left. And the pace of this last one was like...
A planchette.
It was a planchette. Decapitated someone.
No, it was...
Oh.
No, the planchette's the knockoff Ouija.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Hold on. Hey, Google, what's a planchette?
Here's the definition of planchette. A small board supported on casters, typically heart-shaped and fitted with a vertical pencil, used for automatic writing and in seances.
Every time he looks at me, I look at you. Just like...
That was interesting.
No, when they turn on the power, something explodes and kills and flies and hits the town drunk.
Oh, yeah!
Because God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, they set up that he was causing problems breaking windows, didn't they?
That's divine judgment,
Oh,
really.
okay. All right.
But yeah, so yeah, Mother Abigail is like, hey, I know you all don't really believe in God and what I've been saying, but here's a miracle, now you have to.
She basically also says, like,
Yeah.
hey, you just spent 600 pages making a committee.
All of that was pointless.
Yeah, all that was stupid and pointless. You have to go, now
And conveniently, God didn't tell me that till I had left for those pages, from some of those pages, and now that I'm back, I can let you know that it was pointless. Why didn't you psychically send us a dream that it was pointless? Because we believe the dreams. We believe you. Why didn't you send us a message? God didn't want me to.
It's probably why the
Genius.
The original version of this was a bit better because...
Was it?
Well, let me explain.
Oh, so I'm genuinely curious. I'm not cutting you off. Very good friend.
The reason why the original version of this was probably so good was because that book 2 was cut in half, so you had less time in the committee. So whenever she said, yes, it was all pointless, it doesn't feel as much of a cuck as this.
But from what I understand, most of the additions are in book 1.
Are you serious?
Yeah, no, like, from what I understand, there's not a
Jesus
whole lot in book 2 that is, like...
Christ.
I mean,
there's the kid is the biggest addition.
Yeah, but that's a good part.
Well, yeah, no,
You know.
I'm saying, like, in
yeah.
Getting an idea of the scope of how different it is. The kid is
Yeah.
the largest part that is added to book 2.
Yes. Yeah.
I think his section is the largest, like, uninterrupted edition in
Yes.
the entire book.
Yeah, it is.
Which is interesting.
Did
Yeah.
you think God stays in heaven because he too fears what Randall Flagg's created?
No, he clearly doesn't because he works in mysterious ways. Everything serves the beam.
So yeah, so basically you could have, like, 600 pages are just gone because Mother Abigail says, yeah, you could have just gone earlier.
The hype was so... For me, I was so excited to get to Mother Abigail. I was like, I can't wait to see, like, the interesting counterpoint to Randall Flagg. It's like, she's kind of just, like, a good person. who apparently is not good enough for God. Okay.
Yeah.
Convenient.
No, she was prideful.
How? That was never illustrated. It's not like she was like, no, I'm running the committee or anything.
She was like the most non-prideful person.
Yes. You could literally point to anyone else aside from maybe like Stu.
And Kojak.
And Kojak. Like, but yeah, so what did that's it. That's book 2.
Oh god. It took almost 2 hours.
Are you surprised it was 600 pages?
I'm surprised we did it in 2 hours.
Yeah, no, but
we did work here today.
That's why thank you whoever summarized this, so we don't have to like go in circles forever.
Yeah, I feel like we were a lot more focused than our book 1 review, which I haven't listened to, but I'll need to.
Well, it's coming. But anyway, so book 2 of The Stand, starting with you, Nathan. What?
You looked at me first, and you said,
"Yeah, starting with you, Nathan."
I was like, Sansa.
I'm gonna end on you. Sansa. It's you stand accused of treason. What have you to say, Lord Baelish?
It's like that. It's like that old talk show host. They showed him in Watchmen. I forget his name, but it's like, "What is your thought on this, Jack Buchanan?" And he like turns away. It's like, "What? You were talking to me though." But anyway.
So we're gonna start with you. I'm gonna end with you, Sal. Because you had the most to say about book 2, I feel.
It's weird because I finished this up a couple weeks ago, so my memory is vague of it, and I was like, yeah, it was pretty good. But then, yeah, talking about it and getting into the minutiae,
the nitty-gritty,
it was like, yeah, a lot of this wasn't that good. I would say this is still better written than the other 2 Stephen King books I've read.
Yes, absolutely.
But
I would say so.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I agree.
Definitely quite a slog, especially like and. Again, like...
Because book 1 I kind of devoured.
Yeah.
And I devoured this too, but it was more like...
Well, when you think about it, there's half as many chapters and twice as many pages, which means that each chapter is on average 4 times longer than a chapter from book 1. So yeah, because I remember like steamrolling book 1, and then as I was reading through the first chapter of book 2, I was like, am I reading really slow? Why haven't I hit another chapter? And it's like...
No, they're just longer.
They're just really fucking
long.
Yeah.
Fuck?
So I'm curious. I'm happy that book 3 is much shorter.
Very much so.
We'll see how that goes.
It's like 200 something pages.
Oh, we didn't bring up the judge died.
Did that happen in book 2?
What? The judge didn't die?
I thought he died.
No.
That's book 3.
Oh, that might be.
This is why I didn't want us to start reading book 3 until we did this discussion, so we wouldn't get confused and do what you just did and what you did earlier with Dana.
It's fine.
The book says she died.
That's how though.
That's true.
I didn't tell you how she died.
She could have lived a long, happy life and died eventually, because we all die eventually. Maybe she's
Kojak doesn't die.
Listen, because Kojak's actually God the whole time.
That'd be such a good twist, actually.
That would be so much better. Secretly, it was Kojak the whole time.
Because it'd be like, no wonder he survived those wolves. He is Christ in flesh. Anyway, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no. That was about it. It was okay.
Book 2 of The Stand is...
Yeah, just how you go.
Well, I already said I want to do last.
He's angry.
And he's hurting. Book 2 of The Stand is... Now that we're talking about it, yes, it is more of a disappointment, I'd say. Because, like, book 1 is such a good start. Yeah. Like, it's so good, so efficient at setting up all these characters, but also setting up minor characters for, like, little one-off things in this post-apocalyptic world, and like, really good sense of, like, pacing, and like, just enough of, like, focus, but also expansive, and book 2 is, like, we're more focused on the main characters, but I feel like we just get introduced to a shit ton more characters, and some of them, like Nadine, are the worst, and some of them get better. Harold gets way better in this book than in book 1.
Yeah. I agree.
There's some stuff in this that is really good. Again, I quite like the trash can kid stuff just because it's, like, really just terrifying. Does it have, like, a point in the plot? No, but I'd rather have it than maybe, like, 10 committee meetings. Rather maybe have, like, 6. Overall, like, I mean, I already know what the ending is. So for me, it's just kind of like, is this better executed than I think it's going to be? But given, like, the way book 2 handles some contrivances, I wouldn't say so. I'd say probably not. But I still think that it was a good decision to read the full uncut version.
Yeah.
I want to get like what King thinks is the full story.
Yeah, the definitive edition.
The definitive edition. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it was definitely like, I understand why it would take you a long time to get through book 2. So like, I mean, I don't blame you for that. That makes sense to me.
So what happened was, so we book 1 we were all pretty much semi on the same pace with each other in terms of actually reading it. Book 2 I was so behind on, and while I admit that some of that was I got like 3 or 4 ear infections in the middle of our read through, which led me to not being able to focus on fucking anything, literally. So I would try to focus on stuff and I would actually want to die. So I just literally laid in bed and watched Star Trek for like 2 weeks.
That's just self-healing.
And that was just good. So and then like when I got back to it, I was like, God, I kind of like hate it. but then I'll love it because then I'll hit a Harold section and I'm like, wow, you're fucking great. Or I'll hit like a really nice like Stu section or a Larry section or like. And it'll be like a committee meeting, and I'm like, oh man, you're putting the town together, you're doing the shit I want you to do. Oh, like you're in the power plant, we have to figure out which grids go to what, and like, oh, we need a committee for this because
we need to clean the dead bodies up.
And I'm like, oh, that's so smart, that's good, and like, there's always, and then sometimes I'm like, wow, can Nadine just shut the fuck up? Or I'm like, wow, when's the next fucking Las Vegas chapter? And then I flip ahead and I'm like, there isn't one.
300 pages later.
And it's just like, and so like I kind of like started to slow down because I kind of felt like,
well, the book starts to slow down.
Yeah.
So.
And I just felt like really just like, Jesus, what the fuck's happening with this shit? And it really made me not want to read, because book 1 I was like, oh, I want to read this. Like I would find like small moments in the day to read like a page or 2.
Yeah.
I really wanted to find out more about what's happening. Whereas book 2 I was like, I mean, fuck this book.
It's like you know everything that is going to happen, but yet it's like on such a larger time scale than in book 1. Because in book 1, it's like, I know Captain Trips is going to kill everyone in the country, but that only takes like 50 pages to become like evident. Whereas in this, if it was in book 2, it would take like 300 pages to realize that Captain Trips was like ravaging the country.
Yeah. So like overall, I mean, I do technically like it.
Yeah.
Because it is King. It's very well written. I do enjoy a lot of the characters. Even the new ones that get shoved in out of fucking nowhere, I go to like. Because if it was a Robert Jordan book, I would have not remembered any of their fucking names.
I wouldn't have made it this far if this was Robert Jordan's The
Listen,
Stand.
you've read all of them.
I read all. I've read 15 books. I don't need any more.
Well, you don't want to read his Civil War books?
No. Oh, God.
Or his Conan books?
No.
I thought you were going to say Kojak, and I was like, oh, I didn't
His
realize.
Kojak books?
Yeah.
So, like, I think I liked it, but, like, I wish... I could see what it could have been.
Sure, yeah.
And it makes me really excited for the show. And it's kind of like why I'm excited and why you're excited, Nathan, for the Wheel of Time show. Because we're like...
I'm excited.
He's optimistic.
Yeah, I'm optimistic.
I'm optimistic because I haven't read the books.
Because Wheel of Time, much like The Stand, has a really good, like, idea.
Yes.
That this book is not executing as well as it could be.
No.
That could be executed so much better. Like, you can have more Nick scenes, have more Tom scenes, or have them in general. You can fix certain little things. You can, really... Because, I mean, depending on how you do the show, you can really make it, like, 2 or 3 seasons if you really try to.
Well, that's why this was really interesting, like, me thinking about you, because your perspective is you've seen the miniseries, like, a dozen times?
Oh, yeah, I love the miniseries. It's great.
So your perception of book 2 is, like, much more, like, because it has to be the same pace as night 1.
Yeah.
With night 2 and 3.
Uh-huh.
So they have to make book 1, 2, and 3 to stay on the same pace.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, you're like, oh, book 2, like, yeah, like, I know the plot, but then, like, you actually get to it, and it's like, oh.
I think the miniseries is 4 episodes. So episode 1 is basically book 1.
Yeah.
Episodes 2 and 3 are book 2.
Right.
But, like, there's still pace to that level, so it's way better.
So
from my memory, of course.
That's why you reading this, you're like, listen, I know what happened.
Yeah, like, listen, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm Harold to this book's Nadine, and I'm like, shut the fuck up.
That's kind of fair. Would you say any of us are optimistic about book 3? Because again, I've read part of book 3.
Yeah, but because they're going to Vegas. And that's the biggest one. Not the biggest, but a big problem of book 2 is that the lack of Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see someone in Vegas who, like, and that's why I think the show could, like, introduce even more characters. And you have, like, you have, like, someone in Vegas who, like, is actually good, and they're stuck on the bad side. And then, like, they kind of have a confrontation with, like, Lloyd and Trash Can and Ace and other characters, and you're like, oh, fuck. And, like, they have to kind of work to, like, do a thing over there. And then, like, whenever, like, Dana or whoever shows up, they're like, oh, hey, listen, like, I know you're with Mother Abigail. I'm like, listen, I want to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And she's like, and like, hey, listen, when we leave, we'll bring you with us. And it's like, oh, but did you help anything? And, you know, you can do more with it. And, like, you can have, because, like, I want to know, like, because they have this whole bit of, like, oh, all the scientists and techies went over to fucking Randall Flagg's side. And I'm like, what are they doing over there? And I guess it's also kind of like the, that is the mystery of the town, is like, well, what are they doing over there? But then
he wants to keep you in suspense.
But you should have sent, like, Dana and the judge and Tom, like, so much fucking earlier.
That should have been, like, the beginning of book 2.
Yeah.
That should have been, like, the beginning of book 2, and then they all leave at the end of book 2. So it's like, okay, our first attempt failed, now we're gonna send...
Exactly, not... Alright, we sent out our first attempt, 2 days later, alright, now the second attempt's going.
And we could have gone earlier, but by that logic, we could go at any time. But I guess not, because of what God wants.
Yeah, for this being, like, Stephen King's Lord of the Rings, he really just wanted them to, like, fuck off and do nothing in Rivendell all throughout Two Towers, I guess.
Yeah,
seriously?
Like,
yeah, it does feel like that. It feels like, hey, I want, like, 10 Council of Elrond meetings, and, like, eventually we're gonna leave and bring the ring. It would be like if... It would be like if they get to Rivendell at the end of book of the Fellowship of the Ring, and then the Two Towers is all in Rivendell, and then Return of the King is like, and then we got to Mordor, but this book's also 200 pages.
yeah.
What?
So that was
That was Stan
that was
book 2.
That was the Stand book 2. Tune in next time for
Stan book 3, and we should cover the miniseries, I think, too, because book 3 is kind of short.
Well, we need 2 different recordings.
yeah.
Yeah, but the same day.
We'll milk more videos out of it.
I mean,
Yeah.
more content for our wonderful viewers.
We'll have a stand month.
Because Stephen King's read-through is not long.
Well, let's do that. We'll have a stand month.
Yeah.
We'll have it be like
every week.
every week.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Anyway.
All right, guys. Tune in next week for the Stand Book 3, where it's Wait, let's do a page count real quick. So book 3 starts on
Just after 9/11. Yes.
15. 9:14. It starts.
Yeah, so it's 9:14.
To Hey Google, what's 914 minus 1,141?
You don't have to do that.
The answer is minus 227.
227 pages.
Yeah.
That's less than book 1. That's like 3 book 2s.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I know.
That's,
Maybe it's going to be the best book of all.
you know that's not true.
Well, I'll keep my thoughts hidden.
Only because Larry does not have the guitar in his back when he leaves.
Oh yeah, it's the worst then. He just needs to be playing a song. Okay, anyway. Yeah. Tune in next week for The Stand, Book 3.